Hello there, it's Fergal from Extinction Rebellion, now released from the custodies of the police. We're here today in Piccadilly Circus. Right behind me just is Barclays Bank, and there's going to be a game of football is going to be kicking off. It's a different type of sponsored Premiership football. We've got quite a few different things happening here and different parts of the country yet again. Yesterday was an action-packed day. So much, I think Director Nix is going to show a little rundown of video. One of the main actions was blocking the corrupt media in this country. 5 billionaires control 70% of the media. So that was a very loud message. You'll see a little VMix there. We've got some disobedience kicking off as well. We've got in Trafalgar Square, we've got citizen assemblies. And we've got, after 3, if we're still streaming, we've got some with the indigenous tribes are going to be doing something very, very special, so stay tuned. So I'm just going to walk over here. So if you can just see behind me, what we've got here is Barclays. They're the proud sponsor of the Premier League. They also, since 2015, since the Paris Accord was signed for mandatory CO2 reduction targets here and around the world, Barclays Bank has been responsible for a staggering £85 billion worth of investment in hydrocarbon, that's fossil fuel extraction. And we're here to tell them this is simply not good enough. Here we go. Hey, what's going on here?
Okay, all right, so basically today, guys, we have a pop-up football match. This is a... okay, all right, okay. I've never done one of these things before. Beautiful. Okay, so we've got a pop-up football match. We've got a bunch of football fans, football players, friends, climate activists, all that coming together just to make a little bit of noise, bring, hopefully some climate conversation to the beautiful game. It's our national sport and nothing exists yet. Like, there's no conversation about it. And I think, just as a precedent, it's been quite interesting what we saw recently. Boris Johnson says no, Rashford says yes, Boris Johnson says yes. The weight that, footballers have in modern society is pretty incredible. And nothing's more important than, like mitigating climate breakdown or whatever you want to call it, climate change, global warming, whatever. And that's what we're here to make a noise about. We're mainstream science tells us one thing, and everybody understands that, Extinction Rebellion and other movements have done a great job of getting institutions to declare a climate emergency. And then you've got Barclays, who have invested over the last 5 years £150 billion into fossil fuel projects around the world. Now, trying to comprehend that number is pretty silly. I can't even do it myself personally. I'm just throwing these figures about, but and that's terrible. It's criminal. Not only are we trying to become more sustainable and carbon neutral, we're accelerating in the opposite direction. And we know that, and someone's got to be held accountable for it, right? Because if no one's held accountable for it, then what sort of society are we living in?
So Barclays, we know, well, most people know that Barclays sponsor the Premier League.
Well, actually, so yeah, of course, every football fan knows, associates Barclays with football in the UK, especially with English football. But I mean, it is an international brand. Barclays is still the official banking partner of the Premier League, which is very significant. And at the same time, it's very interesting. I'm a big football fan myself. Yeah. A report came out recently, and it said that. Okay, all right, I've got to go.
Okay, it looks like the game is actually about to kick off. So let's just watch. Is the game kicking off now?
It looks like the game's kicking off.
Yeah. So they're playing a game. They're playing a very own Barclays Premiership game is starting in front of Barclays Bank in Piccadilly Circus. It looks like the teams are getting nicely warmed up. Okay.
I want to see some prime fat Ronaldo from you up front today, okay, mate? All right, guys. I want to play a game. I want us to go in hard for the tackle. I want us to go in fairly. I want us to play the beautiful game how it's supposed to be played, okay? Yeah. All right, let's get this football.
Okay, go. It's exciting. Oh, it's a referee.
I'm your referee today. You don't need to know my name. Just call me sir. All right? When I blow my whistle, stop immediately. Sir. Now, I know you lot by reputation. I don't want any funny stuff. Yeah? No, sir. No funny business off the ball. No little tricks. I've seen it all. I won't. All right? Okay. Got a yellow and a red card, and I'll leave you. Right, good.
Yeah, the game is about to kick off right now. Here goes the crowd. The crowd is shouting. There we go. How you feeling? How you feeling?
Gonna wipe the floor of those dirty hippies.
Yeah.
Get a job!
You're going to get the hippie. So who are you representing?
I'm Sharkleys FC, the finest of all banks.
Sharkleys FC.
Did you know we invest more than any other bank in fossil fuel industries? And we are still the supporter and sponsor of the Barclays Premier League.
How good are we? Well, that's open to debate. I know who I'm going to be supporting today. Let's have a quick word. What are you doing?
Hi, I'm part of the Sharkleys team. Yeah, I was a bit busy today. I wasn't sure if to come because I got a few meetings, you know, a few contracts to close, and yeah, I'll see if I can do some work from here. We have to still invest a lot more in fossil fuels. So
Okay, well,
yeah,
I would say good luck, but sorry, I'm cheering for the other team today.
oh well.
There we go. Come on, guys. Okay, so it's about to kick off. Oh, I'm just going to shoot across here. Sure you don't let in any goals, okay? Come on, I'm going to be cheering for you guys. So this is a pretty exciting game that's going to be starting. I'm just going to run out here so you can just see a bit of the will of what it looks like from Piccadilly Circus. There you go. There we go. So this is you know, it's free to watch. We've even got people giving out. Excuse me, sir, are you giving out information? Is this the program for today?
Yeah.
There we go. I've got a program as well.
Yeah, program. Yeah.
Let's have a quick look at the program. Yeah. Welcome to Sharkleys Super Saturday. Showdown between Sharkleys and XOR Football Club. So we got XOR Football Club. Oh, look at it. Some nice footwork's going on at the moment. These guys are stretching up. The referee's a banker. The referee's a banker. So the referee's just flipping the coin. They're going to see who's going to start. We got ExxonMobil here with their 6 billion of investment. Who else we've got? We got Shell with their 5 billion in Barclays. We got BP, the 1.9 billion. Oh, I've just realized something. This is very unfair. Very, very unfair. Will you look at the size of the goalposts? You'll notice here they've got an absolutely tiny goalpost. It's you know, it's what you'd expect. I don't know. It's just oh, dirty tricks. They just tried to oh, they just scored a goal in a joint goalpost down there. There's people getting pushed around. They're getting abused. They're getting hit. This is a very unethical game that's going on here. What do you say? There's nothing unethical at all.
Absolutely nothing to see here.
Unbelievable. So Barclays Premier. Oh! Okay, I'm just going to go and pop my earpiece back in. I might be getting given out to by the second referee, which is Director Nick. Director Nick, everything okay? Yeah, I think so. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, no problem. Do you want me to just physically hand it to him, or I'll go over and I'm going to interview him, okay? Right?
The referee's a banker. The referee's a banker.
What's going on here?
Well, the game is rigged and the referee's a banker, as you can see. We've got one tiny goal and one massive goal. And obviously this is a completely, this is just like the climate crisis. Because Barclays are rigging the game. They're putting billions and billions of pounds into wrecking our climate. And at the same time, everyone loves them because they're a sponsor of our beloved Premier League.
That's awful. There you go. Turn around a bit. There you go. Yeah. And so what do you know about ethical banking?
Well, I don't want to recommend any specific bank to anyone because I'm not a financial advisor, but I can tell you that Barclays is by far the worst bank in the UK. It's not the worst in the world, but it's the worst in the UK
for investing in fossil fuels.
What do you feel about football and climate change?
Well, it's actually quite intertwined. I mean, I'm a massive football fan, and I know I'm pretty fed up of Chelsea and Manchester City winning the league all the time when clearly they've got all their money from oil and gas, from United Arab Emirates and Russia, and even all the other billionaires can't compete now. It's completely ruined the game. Now we're having to bring in things like VAR just to keep up with the money side of things. It's not what fans want to see.
Okay. Oh! Thanks for that. Anything else you want to add?
Yeah, I think that everyone should follow XR Football UK and we'll be doing more things, not just around Barclays and the Sharkleys actions, but just to really get in deep into the way that football being compromised by the oil and gas industry and by the banking industry together. I'd also just like to say one thing about sharks. So sharks are actually lovely creatures. They've got a really bad reputation, and it's a little bit unfair on sharks that they're getting put in the same boat as Barclays, the most evil bank in the UK.
Thank you, Michael. Keep up the good live streaming.
Thank you.
There we go. So getting to interview excuse me. So just can you explain what's on the information you're handing out? So we have a nice lady here who's handing out flyers. So in a nutshell, what does it say?
That's in 2015 we had the Paris Agreement, right, to which Barclays agreed and thought, and agreed with the facts. But then since then, Barclays has invested 180 billion in fossil fuel, of which 30 billion last year. So basically, their financing to fossil fuel has gone up, and it's just gone up every year.
Right.
So if you think about any projects around the world or in any country that is controversial, Barclays is involved, and this cannot be on.
And I heard that there were linked before in a very dark history in Africa, and
yes, and so this is kind of summarizing in a nutshell a few of the projects that they're involved in. Some of the big companies that they are financing, and you can see the numbers there, right?
ExxonMobil.
It's
Just
so it's a big beneficiary of client deniers, lobbyist companies, Shell, BP, you name it, there it is.
Okay. It's got to stop. It's got to stop. Okay. Just going to put my earpiece back in and see if Director Nick is shouting at me. There we go. So absolutely, it's just shocking what's happening here. It's a whole foul play. They're getting pushed around. They're getting, it's so unfair. Look at the size of the goals here. The goals here are, 6 times, 7 times, 8 times the size. The goals down here are absolutely tiny. How can we have a fair game? How are we supposed to have a fair match if we don't even have a level playing field? That's what we're looking for. Yeah. Yeah. To the media. Yeah, so I'll do 1 minute talking about the media, yeah? Okay. And then you play the video? Okay. So yes, there was a direct action on the News Corp. There was entrance and exits into the printing presses were blocked by a lot of very brave rebels. And this is people are saying, well, why are you attacking the free press, the free media? Well, you got to remember, the media in this country is not free. Okay, we're talking about there's 5 billionaires who control over 70% of the media in this country. There's nobody around me, so I'm just going to pop this up. That they control 70% of what we see, what we hear, what we form our opinions on. And the media is actually failing us. They are not telling the truth. They're not talking about the ecological climate emergency. They're not reporting about why so many people here and up and down around the world are taken to the streets. They don't want to know. It doesn't fit in with their narrative. So of all these papers, the way it works, we've got a former reporter from The Sun is one of the people who involved in the lock-on, and he felt morally obliged to actually take part because he knows how corrupt the news system and News Corp is. and they run the story. You got absolutely fantastic journalists, and the journalists understand what's going on. They go and they report and they write something. They go to the editor. The editor goes, has a look, and thinks, "Oh, this is good." And then they get a big no from up top. It doesn't fit with the narrative. So the narrative as a controlled media is a controlled agenda that people on the ground and ordinary citizens, individuals are not hearing the true effect of the climate breakdown. We're not talking about where we are actually heading. So I think Nick's going to play a little video just to summarise what's happening up there. But it's not governments, that need to start acting now. It's the media, and this is why we have to live stream. This is why XOR has its own media team. It's the only way of getting the message out, and we need more people on the ground sharing what we're doing. So watching this home, please don't be a bystander. Please share. We need to get the message out to as many people as possible. We need to get the truth out and explaining what's actually really happening. The likes of Barclays Bank here and the dark, dirty money that's getting invested in in the oil and gas extraction. We've got 4 times more oil and gas hydrocarbons on the books of all these companies and investment companies around the place that can exactly for human life. So if it all goes, if we burn everything, we're going to so way exceed our 4 degrees Celsius. There's a lot of shouting going on here behind me. Pan down so you can see a bit more of the action on the ground here. But yeah, so the media, and I'm going to say this includes the BBC. The BBC have a lot to they need to start reporting the truth. They're tinkering around. They're doing like a couple of anytime you talk about the BBC, everyone goes, "Oh, the Blue Planet and David Attenborough." Okay, we need to have large segments dedicated across the media, across the BBC, across the newspapers, dedicated to the ecological and climate emergency and to solutions. So we need to get everybody involved. Oh. So yeah, so we're going to go now. We're going to show you a video of what's been happening yesterday.
So tonight, Extinction Rebellion. So tonight, Extinction Rebellion is outside this printing press, which prints The Sun, The Times, The Financial Times, The Telegraph, and The Daily Mail. And we're blocking it because these papers have consistently failed to report the climate and ecological emergency accurately.
Just 5 billionaires own 70% of the British media. They could bring us all together to fight the climate and ecological crisis. But instead they sell easy stories of fear, confusion and division, all the while pretending to be the voice of the ordinary British public. The facts have been clear for decades. They report on the consequences, but not the underlying causes. On that, the silence is deafening. Our demand is only that they do what they already claim to do. Tell the truth.
We've blockaded News Corp's printing presses all over the country to expose the truth and stem the spread of misinformation. I'm scared, yes. I'm taking action that will result in my arrest, and I'm afraid of the consequences facing me personally. But I'm terrified of the unfolding climate crisis, and I know that nothing will ever change unless we fight for it. The fact is, nobody else is holding these institutions to account, so we are left with no other option but to put our bodies on the line.
Oh, bloody hell.
Maybe two.
Yeah.
Sorry.
There you go. Okay, you're live, Michael.
Okay. Hello, this is Mars, and I'm here at the end of the Sharkleys game. Unfortunately, it seems that the Sharkleys team have won. What a surprise when Extinction Rebellion FC, plucky underdogs, have been trying to score in this little goal. They did all right considering. But this is what it always feels like. On the ground, Extinction Rebellion, it feels always like we're underdogs and like we're facing this just overfunded colossus of government and corporations and banks like Barclays. How can we win? Well, we just got to keep our underdog spirit, because as we all know, if we watch football, occasionally that little League Two team will beat Manchester United, and it is the best feeling ever. And we can beat Barclays, but we need everyone to carry on working at it. It's not going to be a quick thing. There's been campaigns, the Clean Up Your Act and the Sharkleys campaigns going for a while now, and we need to just keep up the pressure. So there's been more stuff going on. I saw in Bristol earlier today there was a Sharkleys action as well at the bank there, and we're just going to keep up the pressure until they have no choice but to drop their dirty investments. Cool. So about football as well. So I spoke a little bit earlier about the way that money has influenced the game, and it's not just in our own country. If you look over in Germany, there's a very interesting story. Schalke FC are sponsored by Gazprom. Gazprom, a big oil and gas giant. Now, you and I would never be able to buy a product from Gazprom. So why are we being advertised it all the time? The answer is that Gazprom wanted to build a pipeline from Russia to Germany. And they actually enlisted the ex-chancellor of Germany to make that happen, and they washed their image in the area of Schalke by sponsoring the football team. The same thing happened in Red Star Belgrade. They also sponsor Zenit St. Petersburg and Chelsea. This stuff just keeps happening. Big companies like Barclays are using our beautiful game, dragging it through the dirt. Any questions, Fergal?
No, I think that's a pretty good summary.
Thank you. Let's go interview some of the players. And the referee. So, ref,
Hello.
what do you make of that game? You think that was fair?
I thought it was a very fair game. I thought it flowed nicely. I thought, well, one team was a little dirty. The XR team, well, they had a man sent off and a couple of yellow cards. Well deserved. I could have been harsher, but you know, they came to spoil things, and what can I say?
Are you just sorry you weren't able to arrest them?
I'm just sad they're not all in jail, to be honest, because, you know.
I mean, they didn't commit any crimes, of course.
Well, you say that, but they're a nuisance, aren't they?
Oh, such a nuisance.
Such a nuisance.
Blocking our streets, blocking our banks, Extinction Rebellion.
Layabouts.
Why are they doing this?
Well, because they can't get a job, I expect.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's hardly surprising. Unemployable, a lot of them.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Really enjoying like the whole comedy aspect of this action. Similarly to the Boris the Bank engine that we had the other day, I think that this kind of cheeky action really breaks through to people. So share with all your mates who like football, and that's another thing. I think Extinction Rebellion is often kind of portrayed as a bit of a hippie group. You know, it's all meditation and yoga, and unfortunately that just doesn't reflect all of us. I know that I, for one, I don't do yoga, I do like football. So that's partly why I got involved in helping start this group, and why everyone's here, is because we're just normal people and we like normal stuff, and we want to protect it. We want football to be around forever. We don't want our stadiums underwater, because that's what's going to happen. It's projected that by 2050, I think it's a quarter of Football League stadiums will be underwater regularly. We're not going to be able to hold matches then. So you're the captain of the Sharkleys team?
Oh, no, not me. No, I just turn up and receive a fat paycheck.
Oh, really? How much does Barclays pay you?
Oh, I don't want to get into that. I think you wouldn't even understand the numbers that I'm saying. Yes, exactly.
So just heard from Director Nick that there's something quite amazing happening in Buckingham Palace right now. So let's go over live to Buckingham Palace and see what's going on over there.
Okay, there you go, mate. Introduce. Speak to the.
Hi, so this is Nick. We're outside Buckingham Palace in the centre of London, where we're here with XR and we're having a bit of impromptu disobedience. We've got loads of fabulous rebels here, we've got a bit of music, everyone's been dancing, having an amazing time, so I think we're cool to come around and actually have a look at the awesome outfits. So here we are, we're outside Buckingham Palace, obviously head of a monarchy, not exactly a big fan of the monarchy. It's a fairly chilled atmosphere at the moment. There's a few police around, but it's maybe fairly peaceful, really. Got a bit of music going, got some rebels jigging about. So we've got views over the city, we've got the massive construction on, and I can't help but whenever I see the palace, I think this could be put for far better use for the public. We've got massive problems of homelessness in this country. Such inequality in the wealth the way it's spread around the country. So I think it's good that this is actually normal people out on this Saturday at the weekend enjoying themselves. There's a lot of distance between people. Basically everybody I can see except maybe the police are wearing masks. So there's a lot of space between people. And it's actually a really lovely atmosphere. It's a beautiful sunny morning here. Afternoon now, sorry. So a beautiful afternoon here, so it's actually a really lovely vibe, and it's nice to actually see people enjoying themselves while still respecting the COVID regulations. So beautiful atmosphere. Look at the girl just over here, if we can tap out to that nice little stripy outfit, chill dancing there. She's loving the music. Other people there, nice girl there, some nice moves in the high vis.
Earlier, of course, they were all coordinated, dancing to disco.
Okay, so I got here just a bit too late for that, so of course the classic Staying Alive by the Bee Gees, which became a theme song called Disobedience, and that was first started by some awesome rebels in Madrid for the COP 2019 conference last year. Sadly, you know, COP 2020 this year, we were supposed to be having COP in Glasgow, and it was a really crucial time. We've just had the CEE, that's the Climate and Ecological Emergency Bill, that was actually tabled in Parliament the other day, so that's actually really essential. That's going to be debated in full in April, and it's actually a really good opportunity. We can actually bring about some change that will actually become law in this country. That means we can actually stop climate and ecological collapse we're currently suffering underneath. According to the government's own independent CCC report that was published a few months ago, we're actually on track for 4 degrees of warming at our current rate. Post-industrial revolution, we're actually only going to 1 degree, but warming levels
And even
the Earth has sometimes been hotter or colder over the millennia. All those times, there's never actually been life on Earth in the same way. Not human life, not the same animal life that we know. So we're not just talking about extinction of the human race, we're talking about the 6th mass extinction, which will be all life on Earth.
we're in the middle of a 6th mass extinction now, aren't we?
We are. This is actually, we're almost reaching the crescendo of it in a way, and it's only going to get worse. So we've already seen fires in Australia last year, which actually wiped out, was it 500 million animals, I think it was rated at, and some species of those animals are now extinct forever. I'm fairly sure in our lifetime we will actually see complete extinction of animals like the polar bears in the Arctic with the thinning sea ice. We've now got some awesome hula hooping going on here. Sorry to just cut away just like that. I was distracted by the awesome hoopers in the background there. So that's not the best segue there at all.
Yeah. And of course, we've just read the letter to the Queen, urging her to address the climate and ecological emergency.
That would actually be an awesome start. So even though I'm not a fan of the monarchy, if actually our head of state could actually maybe use some of powers instead of sitting there and doing nothing like normally happens, that would actually be really amazing, because that could actually have a real influence. And some people that may not be aware of the ecological about the science, not just the speculation and the rumours. Obviously, in terms of where people get their news from, we've had the mass actions that's happened at News Corp overnight, where I believe there's still blockades there. So News Corp has not been able to get any of their papers out in terms of the Sun, or the Times, or the Financial Times, and also where the Telegraph is printed. So these are right-wing, far-controlled media. Is actually 70 or 80% of the media in this country is actually owned by just 5 billionaires. And of those 5 billionaires, none of them actually live in the UK full time. They all live in tax havens in places like Monaco and Monte Carlo on their yachts, which are sometimes 70, 80 metres long, and they generally cost over £1 million a metre.
And the cruise sort of industry, the cruise liner industry, like Norwegian, is that what they're called? They are some of the most polluting industries on the planet. I think it totaled out like all of the main sort of commercial cruise ship companies, like Norwegian. They actually release more CO2 into the atmosphere than all the cars in Europe.
Oh, it's absolutely crazy for what's a relatively small industry compared to everybody else, that's enjoyed, such a misused word really, abused by such a small handful of individuals, and they sit there cruising around the world with only a handful of people on in extreme luxury, whilst people who are starving. And cruise ships actually are not just burning the kind of fuels that we might have to put in our cars for the occasional journeys that we make in those. They're actually using a heavy diesel oil that's actually really, really polluting. It's not regulated anyway, has exceedingly high outputs of NOx and other really poisonous gases. And they are so inefficient for what they're actually running.
And then what's even worse, more to do with social justice than climate justice, but they are all interlinked, right? But is that many of the employees on these cruise ships are from the Philippines, and because of legislation and trade agreements that have been made because of neocolonialism, basically, these workers get horrible payments and horrible insurance, health insurance, like. You know, and these companies take these workers on because they're so cheap, and it is because they are so dirt cheap to get them.
And that's actually, I guess, it's not an area I know very well, but that's actually real abuse on those individuals and their human rights. It's actually real exploitation. And probably other people going on these cruises do not realise the sort of the life that those people live. They're away from their families for many, many months, trying to earn a living, but it's not sustainable. It's not sustainable for their mental health, for their physical health, but also in terms of the environment that they're working in. Of course, recently there was also the launch of the Ocean Rebellion that was in Falmouth, and that was actually a really beautiful action, where there's currently a cruise ship dock there called The World, and this is a massive cruise ship, as big as most of them, but it's only actually a permanent residence to about 250 people. It's all private suites on that boat, so a boat that size would normally have about 3,000 guests, but on there there's about 250 residences where people live in absolute luxury.
And then, of course, there's the 4 oil liners, you know, just a bit further out at sea.
I was only hearing about that the other day, actually, so that was not something that I was actually aware of. But because of the massive drop in the demand for fossil fuels at the moment in the oil industry, they don't make any money by trying to do it, so they're just sat there offshore with or without oil on them, because it just goes to show how fragile our economy is and the industry that we rely on, or that people think we rely on, but they're just sat there useless, because we've actually realised there's another way. During this COVID crisis, people have not been travelling. It's been funny being in London this week, but how empty the roads are, and also how empty things like the trains are the odd time of being on them. And it's actually nice to see, because that means people have actually learned that there's different ways of working that have actually been far better for their mental health and far better for things like traffic pollution and the air quality, but also just the amount of time people have each day. I'm someone that loves the outdoors. I love to walk and to cycle, and since lockdown I've never seen so many people out and about walking, and I think it's actually freed up a lot of leisure time for a lot of people. So I think that's a really beautiful thing, and I think that's something that needs to be promoted.
Yeah. And of course, you touched on mental health there. The royal family are massive advocates of mental health at the moment. You know, you've got William, doing lots of work, and they're on TV adverts urging people to, you know, look after themselves and their mental health in these trying times. So it seems like not that far-fetched to me that an action like this, such as this, urging for the Royal's help and assistance in a climate emergency, is actually quite possible.
Well, I think that's actually really beautifully said. It's really shown how royalty, they're often put on a pillar. Here we are outside a palace, but they're actually human as well. They suffer from the same stresses that we do. They might live a life of luxury, and I think that's only for the good, that they've actually done a lot of work in raising awareness of mental health recently. At any one time, there's typically 1 in 4 of us that are suffering from mental health issues. So if you look at the hundreds of people here today, that means that there's a good many people here at the moment which might be suffering, or there might be other people who actually would love to be here, but, you know, due to their own circumstances aren't. But it's nice that it's actually become more part of a conversation for people, and it's actually now more socially acceptable to talk about it, which perhaps wasn't done years ago. So that's actually really fabulous. But people like the royal family are actually now starting to talk about that, because that's an important part of this crisis that we're facing. Because it's not only the ecological crisis and the economic crisis and things, it's all interlinked with so many parts of the systems which all work together, and mental health is another part of that. So with the work we're doing here with Extinction Rebellion, it's actually trying to make it better.
Cool. Great. What should we do now? Should we mosey on around and see how people are doing in the dancing?
I think it'd be awesome to actually have a walk around. So we've got the awesome hoopers just here, so I think that'd be cool to go and have a look at them.
Yeah, sure.
And the young lady's going to... I know we like some meeting Harry remembers all that stuff, but oh great.
I took some footage earlier of the disco in its sort of full steam. You know, it was like full steam ahead. We could probably try and roll some of that if possible. It was great. So much dancing and so much energy, and loads of songs and chanting. Awesome. It seems to be dispersing a little bit now.
Yes, I'm not sure people are maybe heading back to Trafalgar Square, obviously just along the mile where there's been a citizens' assembly. That's obviously, so that's actually a very important part. That's actually the third demand within Extinction Rebellion, along with telling the truth, and to actually aim for a carbon neutral by 2025. But let's just talk about citizens' assembly. So if you imagine a bit like the way a jury is selected just from a cross-representation of people, and they're presented the evidence, it works very similar with a citizens' assembly, but people are chosen out of the general public, and they're actually the ones which are spoken to by the scientists, presented with the facts, and then you're actually getting a cross-representation of the entire country, representing all demographics, to actually make a decision. And the idea being that citizens' assembly is a brilliant way of making sure everybody is represented. Some people may talk them down, but there's already examples of how citizens' assemblies have actually brought real change in countries. We only have to look at, say, in Ireland, that's just what I was going to come to, where abortion had actually basically been banned, and it was actually through citizens' assembly that was actually enabled into law, and that was only last year, I believe.
Same as gay marriage as well, gay rights.
Of course.
And this is in the southern like Republic of Ireland, where they're very traditionally very Catholic, very religious.
But maybe up until that point, the laws in that country, in the Republic of Ireland, had actually been made by people which weren't actually in touch with what the actual population wanted. Obviously a very strong Catholic country as well, but it just goes to show that if you actually give normal people a voice, it actually means you can actually get something that represents the real community. obviously in the UK we have a first past the post system. I think we're pretty much the only country in Europe is still using such an antiquated system, but is so unfair and unjust. But it basically means that a handful of people can be in power, but they're not actually representative. So the people which are running our country, even with a supposed majority, there's only about a third of the country that actually supports them, because they're not there through real merit or through real representation.
I'm just hearing now that the People's Assembly is being broken up. I was quickly here through to Nick to see if he's able to tell me about that.
So that goes to show how against it that certain people may be, but they want to actually disrupt something that can bring real equality.
If you represent.
Just down the mall, just 2 yards that way. So we just have to walk around outside the palace here and get some more.
Sure. I mean, that's just devastating, isn't it? Like, it just sort of explains the sort of democracy we live in right now. Trafalgar Square has been shut down, with police. Like, all they're doing is the same thing we're doing here, really. Having a little bit of fun, a bit of an event, a bit of music.
And it's not like there's actually a lot of traffic in the city centre of London. It's actually very easy to use public transport in London. We're not travellers the way the system works here. So there's no need to have the traffic here. So why don't we put this on? Imagine if this was the road. If this was the road outside of your house, couldn't this all be put to much better use? I think my house could easily fit in a fraction of this section of road here. So how many other people could actually be here using this space? Or it could actually be used into parkland, and that could really help people who live in the city centre, or maybe that just want a break, during the lunch break where they're having a lunch.
And what's even worse is, in the West, in Europe at least, this isn't even the biggest, royal palace in, Europe, right? I think it's in Belgium.
Really?
Even bigger than this, and it takes up even more outside space as well. It's absolutely humongous.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
I'm always amazed anytime I come here, but not only how big and rather ostentatious this is with all the gold and everything, but yeah, like just the amount of space it takes up. And you forget it's not just this big building here and what that represents. It's actually just all the surrounding space. And this is all just, even though it's all gated, actually a lot of this, even further out, is frequently locked down. I guess we wouldn't want to ruin the view for Her Majesty. I don't suppose if
she's ever here.
If she's ever here. Now, I don't know if this still applies. There is a flag at full mast. Now, it always used to be, if that was at full mast, she was in residence. I don't know if that's still the case.
So we've definitely woken her up today.
Well, let's hope so.
Let's hope we've woken her up to the climate and ecological emergency.
Well, that would be awesome. It'd be nice to think that when we were gathering here early this morning, she's maybe, it's a Saturday, people maybe like a bit of a lie-in, but she actually, tweaked the curtains, was looking out, and what's this going on, Philip, out there? So maybe she can ask some of the people in her departments to perhaps start tweeting about that or something, or writing about it. Well, it'd be awesome if maybe we could get her on the live stream one day. I'm not sure if that's going to happen, but we'd like to think it'd be pretty cool if we could just walk through those gates and actually go and have a chat to her and see what she thinks about all this. I'm sure as an individual, she's a perfectly nice person. Whilst I don't believe in the monarchy personally, I certainly don't want to wish any harm on them. They're human beings at the end of the day, so certainly.
And words are easier than actions, right?
Well,
she can definitely agree and say, "Oh, it's awful what's happening in the southern hemisphere right now." But whether she'll actually do anything about that with the endless wealth that she has, I don't know.
So, is it right that the Queen's still the richest lady in the world? So, I'm not sure, but anyway, so we've actually got a gentleman here with air pollution kills just under his hand. I'm not sure if he's glued on, but his friends appear to be drawing round him. Okay, so he's not glued on, but I think this is a really good representation in the climate and ecological crisis that we're now under, because when he goes, the chalk is going to remain, and that can actually represent a life. So it actually represents a life that's maybe going to be lost in the climate and ecological emergency that we're now in. So obviously just ahead of him is the the XR symbol with the hourglass, which is really representative of how time is running out for us. Let's just go and have a look.
Let's see what Nick's saying. You know,
Hi Nick, it's Nick here with Henry's headphones on.
yeah.
And we've still got a lady dancing here. I'm not sure if... Oh, is that Sarah? Oh my God, Sarah, look at you, looking fabulous.
Oh, thank you, darling. I need to make an effort.
Oh, I know. It's sort of well, I've never met you in real life, so this is so fabulous to see you. So I don't think we're live at the moment, but we're we're live. Okay, so
Should we interview them?
okay. So, hi, so we're outside Buckingham Palace here on the live stream for Extinction Rebellion. I believe this should be going out on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and I think Insta as well. So I've just found Sarah, who's involved in XR. Would you like to tell us a little bit about your role within XR, please?
Oh, my role. I don't. Can you hear me all right? Is that sounds okay? So I'm part of the political circle within XR. So political strategy, liaising with the various political bodies, and also I've been working on the climate and ecological emergency bill. So I'm part of that working group as well.
Awesome. So are you able to tell us a little bit more about the CEE bill, which was obviously tabled in Parliament after Tuesday, I believe it was, on Tuesday afternoon that we found out about that. Can you tell us a little bit more about the CEE bill, please, Sarah?
I could talk for hours quite happily about the CEE bill.
Could you maybe give us a summary in a minute or two? Would that be possible?
All right. So the CEE bill was tabled by Caroline Lucas. It's got the support of 33 MPs, which is 33.
That's better than the other day.
I know.
That's awesome. That's brilliant news.
We've got every party apart from the Conservatives. And what the bill does, well, yeah, but we'll work on it. What the bill does is it forces us as a nation to take responsibility for all of our carbon emissions and for the harm, to repair the harm around the way that we live. And it does that by calling on the government to use the Citizens' Assembly to find out how we get to a world that repairs the damage we've done and allows us to stay under 1.5, or at least has a realistic aim of staying below 1.5. And it says you have to take account of your emissions to do with aviation, to do with shipping, and to do with the consumption of goods of everyday life. You can't just say those are China's emissions because it was made in China. So it's calling on us to be accountable and responsible.
Well, it's very interesting you just said about the emissions there, because obviously emissions is a bit of a grey area how it's actually measured, because the emissions that are reported in the UK, they don't actually include things like overseas travel and all the shipping of our goods. And I think probably most importantly, because people are very quick to point the finger at countries like, say, China or India, where it's obviously do a lot of the manufacturing and production for the world. Obviously, all of that production is actually for benefiting people in the West, incredibly wealthy people, but that's not actually taken into account. So people like to point the finger at those countries, but actually the only reason they may have some of those emissions is actually because they're just making a load of unnecessary. So it's actually producing goods that we don't really need to actually feed the mass consumption. So
yeah, you're absolutely right. So the bill addresses that, and it says if you're going to consume this, you have to take responsibility for the cost of it, and you cannot outsource the debt and the burden to these other countries. You using it have to take responsibility for it. And if we start counting the carbon of everything that we import, we count the carbon of our aviation and our shipping, then this great heralded 40% reduction in emissions that the UK government talks about disappears. We've basically stabilised our emissions. So you can argue, well, at least they haven't increased, but that's not what we need to do. We need to drastically reduce our emissions, and we haven't done it. And what we've done is we've played an accountancy game.
Yes, it's just.
Yes.
I believe the term I've heard with this, it's rearranging the deck chairs and the Titanic. I'm not sure if you've heard that one said, but this is how the government's response has often been with some of these things. That they claim to be doing things, but it's actually woefully inadequate.
You know, I think it's worse than that. It's not even rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic. It's basically we're still travelling at speed towards the iceberg. Wow. You know, that by not taking on board all of our emissions and our totals, we're basically just continuing with the harm.
That's actually a really sort of poignant metaphor, really. But and the way it feels as well is that maybe instead of actually trying to take evasive action on that, we're actually still seem to be, pushing the power down and speeding up towards hitting that iceberg. And we all know what happened with that one, sadly. So yeah, I heard the expression "why race towards oblivion."
Yeah. So that's in a nutshell. That's what the CE bill does. It actually means that we have to recognise that issue. We've got to take that on board, and we have to start actually aiming towards planetary repair and stop doing and stop damaging our natural homes. And it was really beautiful here earlier on. So there was a dying, and during the dying, there was a letter read out to the Queen. It was going to be sent to the Queen, and it made the point that our government is failing to protect us, and asking for the Queen to support the climate and ecological emergency bill. Because it's an emergency. She's not meant to support legislation. She's not meant to get involved in politics. But this is an emergency. So, as head of the Commonwealth for all those countries who are being impacted right now, by what's happening to our world, then she needs to take action, and that was called for today.
So I think that is obviously very powerful action. That was just as I was driving in, and I've seen die-ins before. It was such a contrast coming in, and how we're outside Buckingham Palace here, and I'm walking into this area where it's normally quite a celebratory atmosphere, and it was quite a sombre mood seeing everyone dying there, and I felt quite emotional walking in and just seeing that.
Yeah, and changing it from what was, quite a joyful thing and lots of fun, like disobedience, which was really good, to actually, and to be warm, and to be inclusive, and to have fun, but to also say, do you know what, there's a really serious message for us being here, and
it's about our lives. Highlighting the contrast between the two things, and that's obviously a big part of what Extinction Rebellion is. It's actually educating people and making people aware, and perhaps making people stop and think. And the more people can actually pause and stop for a second, we're not asking everybody to be perfect, are we? We're asking it's far more effective if everybody is doing things not quite perfectly, as opposed to just a handful of people doing things perfectly.
Yeah. Well, so we need to come out, we need to be on the streets, we need to have fun, but we have to remember that, it's disobedience, and the name of the game is to put pressure on our government to act. So keep having fun, but we have to keep being here.
Well, and just finally, so for anybody who's watching this who maybe isn't involved in Extinction Rebellion, and commonly known as XR, for those that don't know that, so what's a really good way that people can get involved? And obviously you said about the bill, perhaps you could talk about getting involved in XR, and also how, even if at the moment people don't feel ready for that, because I believe there's a call to maybe write to people, to write to their MPs about supporting the bill.
So there is a website, it's cebill.uk, I'll just turn that off. So it's cebill.uk, and on there's a whole list of actions that you can take to support the climate and economic. To support the bill, let's just call it the bill. We should have called it something else. So there's a whole list of actions you can take there to support the bill. And write into your MP, and keep writing to your MP saying, will you support the bill? And if your MP is one of the 32 that has, then let's show them some love and say thank you to them.
Well, I definitely believe credit where credit's due, so definitely. So, well, thank you ever so much for talking to me today. So we obviously just passed you here, and it's like, there you are. So, awesome to actually see you, and thank you for talking.
Well, thank you for coming out and doing all of this. Yeah, it's marvellous. It's just, it's just on the road.
We're all displaying our part, because it's something we all care very deeply about. So, were you dancing earlier? Were you doing the disco stew?
Yeah. I was dancing. I got photographed as well.
Awesome. So, go and bust a move. Do it like the. It
was quite the spectacle. Yeah, everyone was.
It's not fair making me do that. I'm going now.
Oh, awesome. Thank you ever so much, Sarah. Have a day. So, we're with Greta here. We've got about 16 police vans. We've got, how many we got there? 20 bikes, more vans down there. They've just started doing some arrests. We've got one person on the floor being arrested right now. The number, as you can see, the number of police is completely disproportionate. We were sticking completely to the route agreed with the police, not going into any areas that we had been told were no-go zones. You can see all the police vans down there. Completely ridiculous. We are having a completely peaceful, beautiful protest with a samba band playing, fantastic outreach, a lot of support from the community, and the police have come in and shut it down. Again, this is Priti Patel trying to stamp her authority, trying to take down our spirits, which is always going to fail. And if anything, this just creates more hype. People can see the extreme overreach of the police here, to about 30 people marching around. Luckily, we've got the samba band still going, keeping spirits high. But it looks like it may be the end of Greta. So fingers crossed we'll get her back, but it seems that the police have decided that this is where we end.
What's your name? It's Unholded.
Yeah, my name's Esther.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you doing here today?
Oh, I had a bit of like downtime this morning because I've been rebelling all week, but just come here to check out Citizens Assembly because power to the people, and like it's great to see it in action and to like simulate what it would actually be like. That's what we're proposing. So yeah, it's great to be here.
So we've got people who are sitting here in groups here.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you know what's going on? They're doing the Citizens Assembly. These people here.
Yeah. So I've literally just got here. But from what I've read up about it, I think people get the information and then they split off. They do like smaller group work so that they can talk about the issues and start to come up with some decisions about how they would approach things.
Yeah. And what's the difference between Citizens Assembly and MPs?
So the main thing is that it's about sortition. So it's about having a random assortment of people who are chosen and who actually represent the whole of the country. So it's like, so they have a look at postcodes, so then people put in and then they'll randomly pick who comes to make decisions. So it'll ensure that there's actually representation across the country in a different range of like backgrounds and demographics and jobs and things. Yeah.
Okay. So are you gonna get involved, or you?
Hopefully it's not too late. I'm here to meet my friend. My friend works in sustainability, and she's such an inspiration to me. So it's like, it's interesting to see like those two sides, like activism on the ground, and then also what people are doing like with the companies, with the businesses. And I'm interested in like how those two things come together, because it's quite, yeah, been rebelling all week, and then now like, yeah, what's going on behind the scenes? And you know, I was talking to some of XR youth yesterday, and they were talking about how we should have been doing something like a lot bolder than actually present the climate and ecological emergency bill. That it should have been more of like supporting all of the other organisations who are doing great work across the globe and coming together and having more of like a really, really strong alliance, presenting something that way.
Yeah, that's good. That's good feedback from XR Youth. Yeah.
And that's not like, don't quote me.
No, it's good. It's good.
It's just great to have conversations about it, and to also think critically about, you know, like what can we be doing better. And I'm sure that is XR's way, isn't it? You know, how can we improve? Yeah, made lots of mistakes, but I mean, system's fucked. So what can you do?
Exactly. Esther, pleasure talking to you. Good luck with your citizens assembly today. I'll see you on the streets. Take care. There you go. It was Esther giving us a quick rundown on the citizens assemblies that are going on here. Just gonna spin around and yeah. Okay, I'll see if I can find somebody else to talk to about the citizens assembly. I'll just do a couple of more planning around some things to cut in. Yeah, that's fine. So I'm just here in Trafalgar Square, where there's a citizens assembly happening. So as Esther was just explaining there, it's a system of sortition where you don't actually elect people, you select through a selection process of people to represent the cross section of society. So you get a very good fair mix. Happened in Ireland. They had, I think, 51 females, 49 males. They had 20-something% over 65 who were like they had pensioners, they had employed people, they had some unemployed people, people from different ethnic backgrounds. Everybody represented.
So, you know, we live in a country which is also quite divided in terms of politics. And I think deliberation shows a way forward for people to meet each other as individuals and see, actually, you're doing this in good faith, you have a lot of good experience, and you're really trying to make the best of this situation. And I think that's really powerful. So the final thing to say is that I think deliberation is important because also people learn things. Like, this is something that's often forgotten. It's not just about also people having their voices heard. It's about people actually learning things. And I've learned a lot as being a facilitator in these debates as well. So we all need to learn more about not only the what we need to change, how we address the climate and ecological emergency, but how we actually do it. And we're not used to building that muscle. We're not used to practicing good deliberation and good democracy. So what I often say is democracy under good conditions. We're seeing that here today, and we want to advocate for more of it in different spaces, in different places across this country and across the world. Thanks very much, and thanks for being part of it.
Thank you so much. That was super interesting and important. So
speakers explaining.
Please, I don't want to say your name wrong, but I think it's Margin Bang Degir from XR Citizens Assembly Working Group. I'm so sorry, yeah.
Okay. So we got some yet again unbelievable scenes happening here in Trafalgar Square. Just going to ask for nothing on. Okay. So I'm not too sure what's going on. I'm just going to just keep on going. The police, there's a very heavy police presence that are intermingling with everybody. They're moving people on. I don't know exactly what they're saying. It looks like there's some different type of police power. Going to see if I can find somebody to speak to. Anybody to speak to?
I just need to film something. I need to brief you with it first.
Okay, where is it? Okay. Just bear with me one moment. Just keep on watching. It looks like the Citizens Assembly is now getting wrapped up. They're having to wrap up the Citizens Assembly. This man with his 2 young children are getting talked to. They're wrapping up the banners as we speak. They are getting moved on. All the flags are getting put away. So the police have been moving through everywhere. We've got now the banners have been wrapped up. The speaker is now getting wrapped up as well. The police are watching the banners and the speakers getting wrapped up. There's a lot of discussions going on with police officers and people on the ground. The police are recording different people. They're coming in groups of 3s and 4s. As you can see, there's lots of different conversations going on. Got these kids here. I'm just going to run down here and have a listen to what's going on here. Okay, so the interview going on there. Yeah, so in case you're just joining us, I'm just going to put my earphones back on. Bear with me for a second, so I can hear what's going on both sides. Yeah, so it's yet again, a very peaceful, very peaceful citizens' assembly was happening. Everybody was spread out. Police are getting moving people on. I believe it's probably for part of the same COVID-19. Yet again, people are allowed onto airplanes. You can cram a couple of hundred people onto an airplane for several hours, and that's okay. But there's powers coming in. Do you know what's going on here?
Well, yeah.
No.
Yeah, no, we do. No, we do, yeah. So everything was very peaceful. Everyone was
What's that?
distancing. Everything was very peaceful. Everyone was distancing. Most people with coverings, and then they just started moving in. Actually, we've all been given very different things. First of all, it was that we could be here if we were in gatherings of 30, and then that changed to gatherings of 6, and now it seems like that it's just no one. And apparently the council let this happen, and then they've just retracted it today, and now they don't want it to happen.
So they say the council retracted it.
Westminster Council.
Yeah.
They were saying, oh yeah, like before today they were saying yes, it's fine, but now they've changed their minds. So we can't be here outdoors, but I could go to a pub and get really pissed with like maybe 30 to 100 other people in the same room.
So they're using Corona-19 or COVID-19?
It seems like it, yeah. Even though we're outside and everyone's being very safe.
Yeah.
And basically we were here trying to exercise our democracy, and that's been completely thwarted, which basically shows why we need to exercise it even more.
Yeah. So everyone's getting moved on because they're using coronavirus as an excuse. Yeah, you're safer outside than you are inside.
Yeah, and I can still go to the pub. I can still go and get really pissed, or go to a restaurant and sit in a room with loads of other people.
Yeah.
But we can't be here and exercise our own democracy.
Yeah, and you can still get on an airplane for 5 hours. You know.
They're scared. They're scared of our power. I mean, look at us. Look at how beautiful this was.
Yeah.
They're afraid. It's
That's
quite
it.
ironic to come and do it when we're actually just trying to.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go to see what's going on here. Whoa. What's going on here?
Yeah. So
What's going on?
In a fixed penalty notice for what? Failing to disperse.
Yeah.
That's according to the police officer.
Yeah. Constable Quick is giving him a ticket for not dispersing.
His number is AS1128, and the boy is currently being detained, and he's not letting him leave.
He's detained.
Yeah, he's detained
for not leaving.
Yeah.
Okay. These are unbelievable scenes. There's people getting detained now for not leaving. We've got the very busy legal observers are watching what's happening. So it looks like they're starting to detain people now. Everyone's getting dispersed. They're claiming because of the coronavirus outbreak.
We don't know one another.
So it seems to be they're going around talking to people one by one, or groups of 2, saying that they have to disperse. It's going to have a chat with them. What's going on?
Oh, well, so we were holding a citizens' assembly. Well, actually, we were talking about the citizens' assemblies here at Trafalgar Square.
Yeah.
We were holding a little people's assembly to talk about how to upgrade our democracy. And police started saying that actually this gathering is now unlawful due to COVID restrictions, and therefore they are
threatening people with fines and arrests and so on. So yeah, a bit of a downer, isn't it? When you're trying to do your democracy, everyone was beautifully socially distanced. I have to say that everyone has reacted beautifully to all of this. But again, it feels once more as a bit of an attack to democracy in lots of different ways.
Unbelievable, unbelievable, yet again. So the police are using coronavirus laws to disperse people. Yes, everybody here is, safe distancing, with masks on, outdoors. Yet you're allowed to still get on an airplane, you go to an airport, you're allowed to get onto a tube, you're allowed to go to a pub and get really, really drunk, and that's all fine. But you're not allowed to gather to have a citizens' assembly. So as you can see, there's more people here, like just talking to the police. So they're moving them on one by one. We've also got the people who are going to be here at 3 o'clock. So it looks like they're getting moved on as well. Also got the Harry Christians. Let's go see if we can have a quick word. Just going to check that I'm still on live. Yeah. So I had to pull this out. So we've now got a group of parents getting talked to by the police. Very peaceful. They're not having a nice little picnic. They're now getting moved on. Children are looking in a state of shock. So as you can see here, everybody is now starting to slowly move. We do have people who are now getting detained and getting arrested. Let's see if I can listen in on some of these conversations. Yeah, very, 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 very heavy police presence. So obviously, again, things have come down from the top to whatever you do, just make sure you can disperse everybody. Yeah. What's going on here, guys? Just, we're live on Facebook.
For who? Sorry.
For Extinction Rebellion. Jesus Christ.
Of God.
Yeah. Are you guys getting moved on as well?
What do you mean move on? No, yeah, they recommended we should.
Yeah.
But we're talking Christ.
That's okay. That's okay. Yeah, which is fine, Yeah. And you're doing what you need to be doing. Yeah. Spreading the word. Keep up the good work. God bless.
Yeah.
There we go. So what's the latest update? What's happening? Do we know? No.
Ask them. They're having a discussion about it.
Yeah. What's going on here? Hey, Jane, why are you moving everybody?
Sorry?
Why are you moving everybody?
So at the moment, there's a gathering of more than 30 people.
Yeah.
Okay, which breaches coronavirus legislation. I'm really sorry, I can't, you're really sticking out my phrase.
What's that?
Brilliant, how you doing?
Yeah, so you're moving everybody because of what laws?
At the moment, there's a gathering here of more than 30 people. Yeah. That's a breach of COVID legislation, and we're asking people politely, respectfully to move on.
Can we move down there?
I suggest if you're not as part of a group of 30, then that would be reasonable at this stage.
What's that?
I suggest if you're not part of a group of 30 or more, that would be quite reasonable at this stage.
I'm by myself. Okay, I'm just videoing this.
Can I ask why, sir?
What's that? So it gets out, the truth gets out there, because we need to know what's happening. It's about freedom of media.
I don't agree. I think that's brilliant.
It's what I do. I'm a videographer, so I make sure the truth gets out. So that's what I was asking.
Truth-wise, honestly, so these are my officers here today.
Just what?
The majority of these officers here, on this side over here, are my officers.
Yeah.
We're going around, we're asking really politely, we're explaining there is legislation. Yeah. We're trying to protect people like yourself, like myself, like everyone else here, to look after themselves and stick within
COVID-19.
The legislation is quite clear about the group. At the moment, you can see most people are dispersed, to be completely fair.
Yeah.
Okay. Previously, there was about 3-4 times as many, I'd say. A rough estimate. You can't have groups of more than 30. It's not safe. As we've seen, we're following literally the legislation. We're explaining, we're engaging, we're being as polite as we possibly can be, as would be expected of people that are brilliant citizens.
Okay, and is that guy getting arrested?
I don't know anything about that situation. I haven't been part of it. I can go and find out for you if you like.
Yeah.
Or what I would suggest is have a chat with Ben. What's your name, sir?
That's okay. I've already had COVID. So what happens to people who've I'm a plasma donor?
That's brilliant.
So what happens with people who've already had COVID?
At the moment, I don't think we know enough personally, and I'm not going to get into that conversation because I'm not a scientist and I'm not privy to the information. We don't know if people can get it again, do we? So really, I don't think that comes into it. I think we've got to be sensible. We don't know if you're therefore a carrier, do we? Do you know that, sir?
What's this?
Do we know if you're a carrier or not?
You know, I've had the antibodies, so the antibodies.
But we don't know enough about it, do we?
Okay, fair enough. So the point being is, everybody here has been asked politely to move on for health reasons, because of legislation that you're not allowed to have groups of 30 people.
Yeah.
So if you have smaller groups,
are you aware of that, Luther?
What's that?
Are you aware of the legislation?
Everything keeps on shopping and changing, you know. So it's good to know. So that's why everybody's leaving them. I was here to cover the Citizens Assembly. Okay, thank you. So it looks like we've got some arrests happening here. Have a quick look. So we're getting people now arrested for health reasons. The health is that they're arresting people protecting.
We also have a right to know which station they're being taken to.
Joe, sorry, why are you arresting him? We have the right to stop you, to ask you on his behalf why you're arresting him. Sorry, you're not asking. This is not fair. He's in handcuffs.
Which station is he being taken to?
Weirdo, so we're asking you the question. Why are you arresting him?
Everyone, move out of this area now. Move over, move back.
Why is he being arrested?
So even though the legislation says that we are allowed to gather in groups of 30.
Sorry, you need to answer to us. Why are you arresting him? Why are you arresting him?
Don't take a caution. Do not take a caution. Don't take on your record forever. Do not take a caution. Do not take a caution.
No comment.
No comment. No caution. No comment. No caution. Caution will stay on your record forever. Do not do it.
Guys, step up a bit. Have you got a bus card? Have you got a bus card? If you're arrested, you need a badge. Someone got a bus card. Excuse me, excuse me, chap who's got arrested. Back, and then that will, but not when you keep crowding. He's got one, that fella's just given one. I'll give another one if you want, but he hasn't. Fella. Bus card. All the info you need is on there.
Breach of COVID? Portion.
If you're just tuning in now, we're getting people are getting arrested for breach of a COVID law. Okay, they've got laws that say you can't gather more than 30. The man seemed to be by himself. Certainly, when he's getting arrested, he had like a lot more police officers very close and around him. So we've got now another person's been arrested behind that under COVID laws.
Spit all over anyone. That doesn't make sure that's right either.
What?
That doesn't make sure that's right. And I don't agree with that either.
Well, but why is the government selectively choosing to enforce some laws on others?
I don't know, so I'm dealing with what I'm dealing with at the moment. I can't quote on that because I don't agree with that either.
I appreciate your honourable work, sir.
I'm being honest with you. I don't lie here.
I'm really sorry that I raised my voice. We accept my apology.
No, you of course you will.
Okay.
I accept that you're passionate about it. I'm not saying why should you not be. I'm just trying to explain from our point of view.
But when was this law started? When did it happen? Is this recent or what's going on?
What Extinction Rebellion were told yesterday is their risk assessment was no good for more than 30 people. And once this is breached, there's more than 30 people in one place.
Right.
So Westminster Council have asked
that they can have a proper risk assessment for more than 30 people.
Okay.
And until that's done, it's a breach. You know, officers have been in there for well over an hour explaining this to people.
I have a question for you. Last week, when they had half-off meals nights all over London, there were lines out the door.
Again, I can't comment that.
I know, but there were hundreds of people that were all at risk. No one was wearing masks on the streets.
Again, I can't comment because I wasn't there. I'm only doing what I've got to do.
I know, but you understand what the people were outside. They're wearing masks, social distancing. But last week, when the government half-off priced, everyone was standing in line. No one was wearing a mask. That seemed like much higher risk than a bunch of people who were responsibly, peacefully protesting.
You've got to bear in mind here, people being told for an hour solid to just move away from each other, and they didn't. So that's why.
But you guys there were no police in the restaurants when lines were forming outside.
Again, I can't comment.
No, but I can come on now. There were no police there that were arresting, and no one was looking after COVID at all.
Listen, honestly, I'm not trying to be rude, but I have to get off. I appreciate what you're saying. All right? All I'm asking you to do is just stand back a little bit. That's all.
Yes.
I appreciate you going to film.
My name is William. Thank you very much.
My name's Chris.
I appreciate it.
Can I add one more comment? There we go. So just a quick word with you, William.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you were there. You're watching the whole thing.
That's correct. Yes, I was.
Yeah. So just talk me through it.
Well,
just stand there so I can get you back behind.
It's basically, what's going on here is we're seeing a massive violation of civil liberties. Okay, so we have a government that once again allowed HS2 workers to work up and down the line in April. They were not key workers, but why was the West Midlands one of the highest hotspots in the country during COVID? You have HS2 workers that were given the green light to go ahead and work. Why? Because it's about big business making money. It's not about protection. It's not about protecting individuals during the COVID. What's happening now is the Tory government is slowly starting to collapse. And they're concerned about the individuals, activists rising up, and they recognize now at this point that there is a problem, okay? And the government is scared. So what are they doing now? They are trying to erode your civil liberties by putting laws in place, but allowing people to peacefully congregate. I took the Greta Lightship coming up from Brighton, and that police threatened them that they would arrest every single one if they came within the M25 ring. We're seeing it, and what they're using COVID not to protect the people. You see grand shops demanding that everyone comes back to work. You see the stores demanding the government's going to stop paying people the furlough in October. You have 2.5 million people out of business. Why? Because the governments aren't taking care of the interests of the people. What the government needs to do is there's a $1 trillion industry in terms of green energy. And if they're serious about restarting the economy and protecting people, why not employ meaningful jobs where people can socially isolate and they can have jobs. They can work on green infrastructure. This is what we need to do. This gentleman who got arrested here is total, it's the government misuse of power. It really is. We saw last week when the government was half off, there were lines out the door, there was no police presence, and now here's an active, peaceful protester, and he's being threatened because he is saying what he believes is right. Because this government is no longer standing up for the well-being and the best interest of the public, and the police are complicit and turning the UK into a police state because they're suppressing democracy. Thanks, Virgil.
Thank you. Thank you. There we go. Thank you, William. So what we're seeing here, we just heard from William, is the use of powers using COVID powers for dispersing peaceful protesters.
You're putting a young person on a carrier because he was sitting alone in Trafalgar Square at a very peaceful protest about climate change that is going to change the future of your children and your grandchildren, and you're not even listening. Should we start chanting shame on you?
Yeah.
Let me just film this, Joe. Go again. Yeah. You're getting him in a carrier on his own, and he's... How old is he?
Yeah. I'm just recording it. We're live streaming. Unbelievable.
30 years old, and you're putting him in a carrier.
Step out the road. You can shout abuse like the pavement.
So now you're saying obstructing the highway.
Step out of the road. Carry on the pavement. Please step out of the road. Carry on the pavement. Thank you.
Yeah. So now it went from COVID-19 or coronavirus laws to obstructing pavement. Young gentleman in the back here in the police van.
How is that being obstructive? How is he obstructing anything by just being with another person? For the rest.
Yeah, you can go in an airplane with hundreds of people all crammed in, or a train, go to a pub, get drunk,
You know, and yet we've got you know, this law to protect us. They're saying to protect us. So outside, it's proven that it's the, you know, viruses do not do very well in open air. It's the safest place to be. Yeah, sunlight, open air is the safest place to be. You know, and that's why, you know, we're all allowed out exercising and everything. You know, and now what we've got is this power is an abuse of power. It's just like, what can we do to actually disperse? And we go, well, what we're going to do is we're going to use a COVID-19, a coronavirus law, to disperse peaceful gatherings. You know, so, you know, we stuff happened on Lambeth Bridge. We still don't know, you know, exactly what was happening there. I was there for the whole thing, and you know, it was just bringing in a sweeping power. Now this, you know, peaceful citizens' assembly going on, and you know, now they've actually gone and they've stopped that. You know, so yeah, we're just seeing a very, very heavy-handed coming down from up top. You know, deciding what to do.
He's a young individual and he's been arrested for no reason, or he's been handcuffed and put into a carrier. I just need to have some answers. I mean, shall I call Cressida because I've got her PA's number on my phone? Shall I find out why now? I could just send her a message on LinkedIn. Why am I standing on this street witnessing an individual who was sitting in Trafalgar Square, because I've been there all day, I'm a witness to this, and I've got it on camera, and he is now in there handcuffed.
We are witnessing the end of Britain as a free country. We're witnessing the end of
Right,
speech.
let
We're
me call
witnessing
her.
the end of the freedom to protest. Democracy is dying. This is its beginnings of its twitching. Yeah? And you guys will die the same as everybody else when climate change happens. And then you can ask yourselves, which side of right were you on? You can remember this moment when you see your kids starving to death and think, maybe you were on the wrong side of history today.
Can somebody give me their names as an officer, because I'd like to actually send this off as a complaint.
You just get the numbers.
Can I have your numbers?
1122.
Okay, right. So can I have your numbers? Because I'm actually writing a letter proposed to Cressida.
Yeah, AS 1122.
LX 601.
There you go.
Because you didn't provide me.
So I'm just going to check in. Nick, yeah, Director Nick, yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so just had a word with Nick. He's going to go over to the Greta boat, but just to give you just a quick wrap up here. Yet again, unbelievable scenes. What's happening here? It just seems abuse of police powers using COVID-19 or coronavirus laws, which I'm unaware of, about dispersing any crowds of more than 30. A young gentleman behind us who's sitting, just one other person has been arrested. There's somebody else who's now sitting on the street just here, and it looks like he's been detained and been arrested. So they've gone and they've broken up the citizens' assembly where everybody was social distancing. Yeah, we're gonna have to figure out exactly what's going on, but it's just absolutely crazy scenes. So I'm gonna let you go. I'm gonna let you go over to Greta and hear what's happening there, and I'm gonna walk back to Trafalgar Square. But just I'm gonna leave you with this scene of this man now getting put into the back of a police van, and he's getting led away. Okay.
You know which game?
Hi everybody, great to see you all joining us today. My name's Claire. I'm one of the coordinators of the media team here in London, and I'm just come down to Kennington Park Road to come and have a look at Greta. I was just leaving to go and check things out on Trafalgar Square and I got the call. Greta's run aground next to Kennington Park. So You can see here there's an enormous number of police. They've just arrested somebody who was glued onto Greta's roof. They've also surrounded this tiny, tiny little push-along boat, which is attached to a bicycle, which they're protecting steadfastly. I mean, there are an immense number of officers here. I don't know precisely which law it is that they're using to close this parade down, but I will endeavour to find out. These are the rebels who've come all the way from Brighton. They've walked Greta, the lightship, all the way here. And so let's just go and ask a few people what they think about what's going on. Jamie.
Yeah. Hi.
We're live. What do you think's going on here?
Well, as you can see, this beautiful piece all the way from Brighton is being kettled by the police. So what has really been kettled there? What's been kettled there is one of these joyous moments that breaks through everyday life and reminds us that there's a real climate emergency that we've been hidden from on a daily basis. And it's one of those few times that actually pushes through into your consciousness. A beautiful thing like that is hard to miss. And what's sadly happening is that sole voice of sanity and reason and hope is being surrounded by a whole load of people in uniforms. You know, so hope is being surrounded and shut down, which is ridiculous, really. You know who we want, Claire? We want Polly. Do you know who Polly is?
Yeah.
Well, Polly.
Polly Higgins.
No, yeah, there's her, but also there's Polly put the kettle on and Suki took the kettle off. That's who we need, Suki. That's it, Suki. Where's Suki when you need her, really? But no, you know, just stop it. I mean, I assume most of the people watching this are, you know, XR supporters. You already know the truth. You already know that we're looking at an absolute existential threat.
There's someone just going into the van there. In the van they go. And here's the Samba band. Have been joining them. There's a really big long line of people here in support, but if anybody's watching this and you're available and you're in London, particularly if you're in South London, people need to come down and support Greta. And if you come down Kennington Park Road, it's just on the corner. Okay, get out that drumming for a second. Let's go and have a word with some of these Southeast rebels down on the pavement, see what they've got to say about what's going on. Hey guys, can we get you to talk on the live stream? Tell us about the journey that Greta's been on.
Oh, it's been an unbelievable journey. Being with the people that I went on this journey with has given me renewed hope in humanity. The way that we work together through the most difficult things, like her wheels have broken, we've been stuck in the middle of nowhere sometimes, and we've been going through the cold. This incredible team, and we made it to London, and but then seeing this, I can't believe what they've done. Why are they arresting us? Like,
it looks absurd, doesn't it?
Like there was only like 59 of us in this procession, and we had split up with this little boat so that we weren't even that close to each other. We've all got our special Greta face masks, and safety has been our most important thing for this entire thing. And it's all been about outreach and connecting with communities and things like that. So to see this, I actually started to cry because I can't believe it. It's just beyond words. Like, why would you do that?
Yeah.
This is draconian measures. This is not police. Like, fuck.
Yeah, and we've just seen really heavy policing on Trafalgar Square, where there was a family action about citizens' assemblies. They're arresting a lot of people over there as well. So how long did it take you to get Greta to Kennington Park Road?
Well, it took us 7 days, well 6 days and the few hours that we've been going this morning. So most of us have got terrible feet because we have been really covering over 10 miles a day and pushing her. She's nearly a ton. I know she doesn't look like much right now, but she's nearly a ton, and we've had to go over the South Downs and the North Downs.
Oh wow!
And really sweating our butts off getting there together, working as a team. There's nothing mechanical in there. It's all people power. That's what it is. People power.
Has she got pedals, or was she just being pushed?
No, she's pushing at the back and pulling at the front. There's like a bar at the front. 4 people have to push at the front and 4 at the back.
Okay.
And then we've also had this blooming Ada that was made by one of our rebels in Shoreham. And one of our rebels, Hamish, and that also needed to be towed and pushed. So together we've gone.
There's a specially trained climber there, climbing up the lightship.
Good luck figuring out how that comes apart.
Good job, he's got some solid carabiners there. He's got some pretty heavy equipment to climb that tower.
I mean, look at all these police fans. This is ridiculous.
Here's the police presence for you, ladies and gentlemen.
Peaceful protest.
Huge van backlog. So the road is closed in one direction. I'll just say again, if anyone's around in the area, or if you're in central London and you want to pop south of the river, do come down and join this protest and support these rebels. There's a great samba band. It's a beautiful atmosphere. And yeah, looks like Greta's lift has arrived. Here you go. I mean, it's unbelievable, the scale of the policing of our protests this time around. You've got to ask yourselves, really, what are they so afraid of? With all these peaceful, beautiful, happy people getting together just to make their voices heard on the most pressing issue of humanity's time on this planet. I mean, it's just an existential people. And this is how they treat the peaceful people that are trying to turn it around. Unbelievable. I think there were people calling for backups and wondering if they were going to get the rebels in the road, if people might sit down in the street, but I'm not sure that that's going to happen now. There's just so many officers. It's hard to imagine how that would happen right now. I don't think it would last too long, but if anyone wants to come down and add to the numbers, perhaps people can feel the strength to go and take the road. I guess we knew it was going to be tough after the impact of last night's actions as well, eh? Interesting responses going on online. If you check our social media, do check out all the Twitter feeds about the Murdoch action. There's been a really interesting response to all that stuff today, including many journalists and establishment figures coming out in full support of disrupting Murdoch's empire of lies and misinformation. The hashtag buy a paper was trending. We were just asking people, how much does it cost to buy a paper? And if you buy a paper, do you buy also a government? Do you buy a country? Do you buy a democracy? Is that what that really means? I wonder how much it costs Rupert Murdoch to own our press and own our government and own our establishment. Okay, let's find someone else to speak to who's been on Greta's journey and find out how it's been going for them. Hey, have you been with Greta the whole time? No. Okay, cool. Where are you from? Okay, cool. Thanks for coming.
That's all right.
Did you see Greta show up here, or?
No. Have you been here for long?
No, not very long. I was just round the corner and I thought I'd pop down, see what was happening. I just got a call. Someone said we're around the corner, so I've just come down to check it out.
she's been with it for a little bit longer.
Yeah. I mean, what do you think of the overreaction here by the police?
Well,
It's quite a lot of officers, isn't it?
Look at the number of bands they've got here.
Yeah.
There's some around the corner.
Oh, is that? Okay. Great.
I think their resources could be used better.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
complete overkill. It's making a political statement saying we can have you because we've got the numbers, and we will disregard the fact that we are supposed to be exempt from the 30 people gathering. It's not supposed to apply to exile. We were given those assurances, and they've just gone completely back on their word, as they have done all week.
Yeah. They've gone back on a lot, haven't they?
Yes, they have.
Well, true colours, not just fluorescent yellow. Thank you, guys. Okay. Let's just go and see who else is along here. Some people who've travelled with Greta, and we'll find out a little bit more about what that journey's been like getting up here. Hey, have you been with Greta the whole time? No, I'm looking for people who can tell us about the long journey. Do you know who's with Greta's team? Hello, love. Yeah. No, it's all right. I've seen her. Thank you. Yeah, I'm just live on the internet. Say hello. This is my friend. She's just cycling through by chance. This is what happens at Extinction Rebellion protests. People just show up. See you later. Okay, man. Well, I mean, look at this. Brave climbing on top of Greta. Let's have a look. So there they are, the climbing team, carefully scaling the lightship, taking her apart in front of our eyes. I'm pretty sure they're using COVID laws to shut this down, which were not supposed to apply to this march. They were marching in 2 groups so that they were small enough gathering, despite the fact that those regulations aren't supposed to apply anyway. And here they are, they've shut the whole thing down. They're ripping the fabric off. The climbing team are breaking Greta down after all that work, hauling a ton of lightship all the way from Brighton on foot. Bless Greta, what an end to her journey. It's so sad to see. And really making a bit of a mockery of the situation. And yeah. Yeah, great. Okay.
Some of the roadblocks.
Yeah.
Traffic go more freely.
Okay, sweet.
What have you done about traffic? Nothing.
And so they can hear sound from that then, no? Yeah?
Why haven't you stopped the government? We've got traffic lights everywhere. Every time we have a traffic light, we get traffic. You're not.
We're getting ourselves arrested.
Okay, super.
What are you doing about traffic lights? Nothing. You just keep them going.
Okay, amazing scenes there in Cardiff that I can see on my screen right now. Huge numbers of rebels at the Senate. And yeah, I'm wondering, I'm going to go and look for an update after this from Manchester because, you know, don't forget, folks, that we're in 3 cities all at the same time. And we're scattered all over London. So this is not the only place where Extinction Rebellion is making itself known. Do you want to see a little bit more of the scale of what we're being faced with here in terms of the police showing up? I'm just going to walk along here and show you how many police officers does it take to arrest a boat on wheels. Well, I don't know if you can count them, but it's quite a lot. And around this corner, you can see they're all backed up. There's bikes, there's vans, there's huge presence here. All just for a little boat. All just to take a little boat away. A little boat that's on the ground. At some point we might need some of these little boats in London in the near future. I don't know if you've seen the action that's been going on today, the football action as well in London. I'm really impressed by the messaging that they've been using. How many football grounds are going to be underwater by 2050? When people start losing the game that they love, maybe then they'll take the climate emergency a little bit more seriously, eh? So I'm hoping that's going to reach us to a whole new audience. But yeah, I mean, look at this. And now the police are sort of blocking off the street. Really is an extraordinary thing to watch. Yep. They've just lifted up that crane arm, so they're just about to move that small boat, I think. Yeah? You might want to, yeah, you might want to cut to them. I mean, I could film this as well if you want and send it to you if that's helpful. Yeah. Okay. Okay, the singing started. Let's have a listen to this singing. Now they've lifted up the crane arm, so they're obviously preparing to.
Coronavirus. So everyone here is getting arrested under the coronavirus law.
Yeah, they took me there on Wednesday.
Yeah, I got to take it up to
It means that all of central London cells are now full.
You okay?
So they've got to release
Yeah.
behind you.
Yeah. Yeah, and I was just talking to this gentleman here. So he was just there with one other person, his partner, with a banner.
He was at one side of the banner, which was a good 2 meters wide. His partner was at the other side. They came up.
Sorry, did you tell us?
Yeah.
Can we tell us what happened?
So basically, they were at least 2 meters apart, each one holding the banner. The police came up and told him about the corona regulations, that there'd been a risk assessment that had not been delivered. And so because they didn't have a risk assessment, they decided that this was illegal, and they just moved in. But they were using regulations, corona regulations, in a political way to try and shut down a peaceful citizens' assembly. This is one of the most gentle men I've ever met, and yet he's under arrest for doing absolutely nothing whatsoever. He had his mask on, all right? They both had masks on. What were they doing wrong? Nothing. Absolutely nothing whatsoever. And they came up and they said because of this conjured up excuse of not having a risk assessment, which has nothing to do with us, it's Westminster Council. Yeah. They suddenly said that didn't arrive, so we're all breaking the law.
So did they do risk assessments like with all the hundreds of people crammed into airports?
Yeah, of course they do, because that makes money for people. So
what about all the people queuing up on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday for the free meals?
Exactly. This is why this is a political decision, right? To try and shut us down and shut down freedom of speech.
Yeah.
And this is what they are doing now in this country. We rarely get into the newspapers, which is why we had a little chat with News Corp last night, and stopped them for its distributing papers today. And freedom of speech is what they're saying we're trying to shut down. They're saying they have the freedom of the press. The press is owned by 5 people.
5 people.
5 people. How is that freedom of the press? Yeah. And this is what is happening across the board. It's political. It's political, and they're shutting us down.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. The same thing happened Thursday. Yeah. I mean, it was absolutely unbelievable. Thanks for that.
You're very well.
Keep up the good work.
Yeah.
Thank you.
XOR Birmingham.
XOR Birmingham. Yeah, this is XOR. You're going at XOR UK. Yeah. So big shout out to XOR Birmingham. There you go. There you go. There you go. Just see what else is going on just here. What's happening there?
He's just having a discussion about what the motives are behind things.
Yeah.
I'm not sure at what point they're going to move on.
Yeah.
But there is a possibility they may look at it in a different way, they said.
Mm-hmm.
So when I asked where he was going to go.
Okay, we'll keep an eye on it. Thank you very much. Okay, just gonna have a walk over this way. Where are you guys from?
Do you get her number?
Sorry? So, in case you're just joining us, we should have been reporting a citizens' assembly, and we should have been going over to a very powerful show, or not show. It's would have been a education on the indigenous people, indigenous tribes in Brazil. We had one of our Hermione was going to be covering that. So that's all now being cancelled. We had citizen assemblies. That's now being cancelled. You can see the scenes here. There's everybody's being cleared from the square for their protection, which is again quite unbelievable. I'm just going to have a quick look over the wall here to see how people moved on. So we're now there's arrests happening to protect people from COVID-19. We can see it's been people have moved down here. Just going to walk down and the steps here. Just going to run over. So everyone's been told to disperse from the citizens' assembly. As you heard, you can still go to pubs, you can still get on trains, you can still get on aeroplanes. You know, crammed in all together, hundreds of people. But apparently, because there was no risk assessment, you're not allowed to gather, even though everybody was socially distancing. So people have moved down here. People are having lunch. Again, the police are mingling now between people.
Around and telling everybody. So I know you're trying to say you're not part of the same group as everybody else. Okay. What I'm saying is that if you're all here for the same purpose, in the same area, not two different sides of the square. How big is the area? How big is the area that we're not allowed to all be in? I'm not defining that area. It's a question. But I'm not going to define that. You're not defining it. I'm telling you, how do we know? Making you aware for your own information. You can make your own decisions based on that, okay? So we're not allowed to be XR anywhere near each other within what area? Within London? I'm telling you, I've told you several times, 30 people is the maximum allowed. 30 people in this area for the same purpose, which is this protest. Any more than that is not allowed. I'm telling you for your own information, okay? You've already informed me that you're planning on leaving anyway. Know what in this area means. So obviously that's subjective, and I don't think we need to be silly. We don't want to know. We've moved out of that area down to here, and now this area is over there. Use common sense, is what I'd say, okay? I just want a bit. We're trying to use common sense. We don't know what the area is. What is the area? So you need to make sure that you're a distinct group, no more than 30. What you need to do is make sure you're in a distinct group of no more than 30 away from any other people, and that means that you. I'm making you aware of the legislation for your own information, okay? I've just got it out one more time because we don't know what in this area. I've spelled it out several times, okay? What is the area? So the area, you need to leave the area. Where does the area is? No more than 30 people. Where? In this area. We're not. What area? Trafalgar Square? I've already said there's
It's not a specific area. Obviously, you guys, Extinction Rebellion, just let me talk. Extinction Rebellion as a collective is obviously larger than 30. It's what we're saying. You as a personal group, maybe less. Your personal group may be less than 30. Obviously, you've got you guys.
We're not gathering with them. We're gathering on our own.
We're talking Extinction Rebellion as a collective. It's one single gathering. Is what we're saying.
No, there's lots of little gatherings.
You're all part of Extinction Rebellion.
Yeah, but we're not gathering together.
Okay, well, we can disagree on that.
If you want it in your own head, have it as 30 people in the whole city, that's your issue, and you can do that if you like, okay? I really don't understand.
Where were you moved from?
Up there.
So you've moved from there to here.
Yeah.
And now you're chosen to go to a different area, but they haven't told you what the
We're not
area
allowed to be in this area, but in this area it's not been defined.
But the express purpose is protesting, and we're just and having a chat.
I see you're having your lunch there.
Yeah.
Right, from the nice Harry Christianers who deserve a shout out for all the hard work that they do. Thank you. So yeah, again, there's again confusion going on the definitions of what people are or not allowed to do. This is the banner saying Citizens Assembly is the answer. So the idea of what they were trying to gather here today was a Citizens Assembly to talk about solutions, but now we're actually talking about what could be abuse of powers of using coronavirus laws to actually move people on. Hola. Hola, ¿qué tal? Bien. Follow English? Sí? Sí? This is from Bolivia.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is from Bolivia. Last year, the fires started. So in Bolivia, we have the rainforest and we have the dry forest. The dry forest last year was burning, and Evo Morales, our president at the time, he hired these airplanes to be able to put up the fire. And the airplanes we have to pay in dollars. We have to pay millions of dollars to the U.S. to be able to hire the airplanes to come and put out the fire.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, the press didn't tell the truth. They didn't say that Evo Morales was trying to help to put out the fire. Also, in the rainforest, we have the original people, the indigenous people, and we demand technology. We want to be able to have solar panels. We want to have access to technology. However, in this country or in Europe, technology is very expensive. If we want solar power or wind power, we are denied. We don't have access to our wind power. So we want to be able to enjoy the same as everybody else in the planet. We want to be able to have technology.
I'm just going to move over this one. Just going to move just out of the way. So this is part of the this was part of the you're part of the second action today, which educating the black.
Today is about international. It's about Indigenous Day.
Yeah.
And
so you just said again, international what with?
It's International Indigenous Women's Day.
International Indigenous Women's Day.
Indigenous Women's Day, yeah. And you see, in Bolivia, we think that Mother Earth is Pachamama is a woman. However, women in Latin America, in Bolivia, women are suffering. Women, they are the creators of life.
Yeah.
Women have to look after their children, have to look after the towns and cities. Right now in Bolivia, we have a dictatorship. At the moment, we have a government that is not responsible for people. People are dying. And now that we have a real dictatorship, nobody says anything. Last year, when we had a legitimate government, they were talking about dictatorship. Now we have dictatorship, and people are dying. There were 2 massacres in Bolivia, and there's nothing on the news. And we are here to ask for justice. We are here to ask for solidarity. And we need to work together because Mother Earth is for all of us. So technology and knowledge is for all of us. You cannot keep it on private universities. You cannot um, benefit from all the natural resources and keep it in a group of people. At the moment, it's not benefiting anybody. It's benefiting only 5%, the richest people in the world.
It's really shocking, truly shocking. And is there more people I can go and speak to today? Do you have here some amigos?
More people, but we are moving to Parliament Square because the police doesn't allow us to stay here.
You're moving to Parliament Square?
The police came and told us.
Okay. I'll come and I'll see you if you see me, and if you can get some more people.
Where are you from?
Ireland. But this is for this is Extinction Rebellion.
Yeah.
So I'm filming for Extinction Rebellion UK.
Okay.
So we were supposed to have two nice ladies, girls who are going to be covering the event today, but because everyone's got moved off, we've changed. No, it's okay. It's as you said, the media. You said that the media is not talking about the problems in Bolivia. Yeah. We've got it's the same problem. It's like the media here and around the world. Like in this country, we're protesting against the media.
Yeah.
And 5 people in this country, 5 billionaires, control 70% of the media.
That's right. Yeah.
You know, so people are brainwashed.
And people want to protect the rainforest. They have to stop eating meat.
Yeah.
If you care about the environment, you have to become vegetarian. You have to stop eating meat. We have to stop fast food. We need to stop Kentucky Fried Chicken. We need to stop McDonald's. We need to stop supermarket. If you care about the environment, you have to change. You have to think about animals. You need to think about the environment because we need to be able to live in balance with nature. But it's political. I'm afraid it's very political. And unfortunately, in this country, Jeremy Corbyn was defeated, and we need to be able to fight for a new government. You need to be able to change this government. The government that you have is very reactionary.
Okay. I was going to say muito obrigado. What's in Portuguese? Gracias. Gracias. And what's your name?
Amankai.
Okay, say it again. Amankai. Encantado. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so we're going to see if we can find some people later to have a chat with about that. I was going to put my ears back in, so I'll probably have Director Nick Shadings again saying what's going on. Nick, if you can hear me. Yeah, perfect. Okay, so I think. Yeah, no problem. So if you're just tuning in, yet again, we have some unbelievable scenes happening with the use of powers to disperse crowds. They're using the coronavirus as a reason to stop the Citizens' Assembly and stop the talk on International Indigenous Women's Day today. So again, just unbelievable scenes. You know, it's it seems to be an abuse of police powers just for their own means. You know, threatening our civil liberties in different ways. We saw it here before. We were told Trafalgar Square was safe last year, and they moved in with a Section 14 ban, which turned out to be illegal. Let's just go and see what's
regulations, and on top of that, you need express permission to play music up here. How long has it been? Ever since it's been here.
So you're concerned that these guys
what about all the buses that play up there? We disagree.
What's going on?
What? No, I just want to, we're saying we can't play music on the square.
You can't play music on the square?
Yeah.
No play music, guys. Yeah, I know it, listen.
But what about all the buses that play up along there? Do you ask them?
So now there's no music on the square?
They're not there today, but they usually are.
I don't work around here. I work south of the river, luckily. So I haven't got to reinforce it all the time.
It makes a nice thing.
It does. I agree.
It makes a nice thing.
Something it helps with keeping people chilled and relaxed.
Well, I would disagree that if the music was played, the mood would change.
It helps de-escalate
Yeah,
things.
look here, it's also gathering a crowd.
It feels like gathering
There you go. So yeah, again, unbelievable scenes now. No music allowed, no gatherings of dirty for coronavirus laws, no citizen assembly, which is trying to help our democracy. Yeah, so it's going to be interesting hearing further later about the legalities of this, you know. So yeah, so I'm going to pass you to Claire to get an update on the Greta boat situation, from one unbelievable situation to another one. So over to you, Claire.
Hey, thanks, Fergal. Hello, everyone. So I'm just here on Kennington Park Road. You can see Greta behind me being dismantled. There are huge numbers of police attending this scene. And if you take a look down the street, just down there, I don't know if you can see. Woo! You should be able to see all of the vans stretching all the way down, like backing up towards Brixton. There's another low loading truck down there, so perhaps that's what they're going to try and use to move big Greta, because there's a small little boat that was on wheels and that's been held next to a trailer with a hydraulic crane on it. So presumably that's what they're going to be using to move what is basically a tiny little boat bike trailer. Check this out, there they are, searching through it for contraband flags and all kinds of good stuff that people have brought with them. Hard to believe, really, that these police are being put to this kind of work at this time, isn't it? And if you can see there, Greta was full of all of the bags and belongings of all the people who were coming down here with her. So people have been taken down this side street and invited down to go and collect their belongings. But I think, I need to check, but I suspect that some of those people who've gone to collect their belongings have been arrested. That's what I've been told, but I don't have any confirmation yet. You can see a lot of belongings on the ground. So I think if you want your bag back, you may risk arrest to take it, which we're seeing huge new tactics from the police, this rebellion. And obviously with our beautiful movement taking such a sort of diverse and flexible approach to the protests this year, I think it has been really difficult for them. They know the tactics can change by the day and by the hour, and so can theirs, as it seems. So today I understand they're using the COVID laws to break up our protests, which we know don't apply to us. We've had legal advice before the beginning of the rebellion, and even though these protesters stuck to the COVID rules and broke themselves into two small groups so that they were even meeting the COVID restrictions that they didn't legally need to meet, they've still had Greta stopped and dismantled. And let's see what happens to them. So you can see just over the road there, they're just taking everything apart and trying to make all the different parts of Greta secure. It's a big old job getting her deconstructed in the road. I don't know how much more they'll take her apart. There's enough of them, they could probably just pull her like the rebels did if they decided to move her quickly. But they do like putting on a bit of a show, don't they, the police? So here they are, choreographed around the boat on Kennington Park Road. So we've got some press here now who've just showed up to come and speak to us. And I don't know, I'm waiting for this crane to move, but it's not quite happening yet. Still lots and lots of people down that side road. I think perhaps people being taken to collect their bags, and let's see if they come back out. Yeah, go for it.
There we go. So we're back at Trafalgar Square, where there's men. They're still talking to the drummers. Looks like they brought in some reinforcements of people who've brought in the notice. Is this a notice that they brought in? Do you know what's going on?
They're now trying to use the. I don't know whether I should be on social media spreading what the police are saying, but they're now trying to use bylaws against these people playing music who weren't part of the People's Assembly. They've just arrived. They were playing the drums, and the police have been asking them to move. And they've quoted a bylaw and said you can't play music in Trafalgar Square without permission from the mayor. And then they've said, but actually it's because of COVID regulations, because apparently music causes people to gather. Even though these guys were walking, what's actually caused people to gather is the police trying to break it up. And now people are gathering, which is interesting.
Yeah.
So they've been told that they can move on with their music anywhere else, but that they cannot be in Trafalgar Square because obviously the police are concerned that the gathering that was here earlier is going to reform. So that's what's happening.
Okay, fair enough.
And people obviously understandably are very upset about it.
Yeah. Okay, so more laws and bylaws coming into place, and so people aren't playing any music, but they're singing. Nice singing voices.
Hello.
How you doing? We're going. It's going global. So what's going on here?
What's going on here? Well, I'm here because I'm 50 next year, and when my grandfather died, he was a police officer in Warsaw in the Second World War, and he died screaming. The doctors said he had 2 weeks to live, and he couldn't live with himself for what he didn't do. And I'm here because the United Nations has written 3 heavily researched scientific papers about the significant risk to life and how, and this is going to be so much more than COVID. And this will have, and the action here today is supposed to be in solidarity with the global south. And the potential of risk of, I don't know how many millions of people will die because we are not acting now. And I will not have that on my conscience. So that is why I'm here to tell the truth and I'm here to act.
Thank you very much. What part of the country are you from?
I'm from South London.
South London, mate. Okay,
right.
Keep up the good work. Thank you very much. Okay, there you go. So just having a couple of words with people of why they're here. Why are you here? What's going on?
I believe that we should be able to have a citizens' assembly on a really critical situation on our earth and the environment at the moment, and police shouldn't be able to use coronavirus laws to suppress, free speech and discussion on a more sustainable future.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable, really. It's like, there's people packed into pubs around here, all over. There's, very little coronavirus stuff being done there, but like here, people have done a risk assessment. They've tried to stay in smaller clusters, to wear face masks, to do what they can, and basically, it's unbelievable. I talked to a mate who's a journalist. The police are trying to stop journalists from filming what's going on at the moment.
Say it again. Police are stopping journalists from filming.
Yeah, I'm just doing Occupy London at the same time. So police have basically, there's another march going over that way. Not sure what that one is. So basically, the police have said to journalists, "Move along, or we'll arrest you." And you can't film from here. Yeah. My friend Jason, journalist, and let's go and have a look, see what's going on over here. There's another march or demo going on there.
Are they being stopped from their social distancing?
Yeah, well, are they being stopped? Yeah, it's a good point. It's a good point. So, people should have a right to have a citizens' assembly to come and discuss things. It's obviously they're using corona laws to suppress political protest.
We've got another protest going on here. What's going on here?
March against paedophilia, child trafficking, thematic, paedophilia, Buckingham Palace, Downing Street, Hollywood, Disney, they're all in on it. Child trafficking, satanic ritual abuse, adrenochrome, organ harvesting, and we're out here marching against it.
Goodbye. Keep a good work. Just, there you go. So we're seeing so many different movements happening, movements of movements, people demanding action in so many different parts of our broken society. They're marching to Downing Street. So I think I might say, oh yeah, I wonder, yeah. So I'm probably just going to stick this back in here to. Yeah. Okay, yeah. 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 Absolutely. So we're gonna pass you over to Parliament Square, and we're gonna pass you over to Henry, and he's going to give us an update about what's actually happening there, where we're allowed to assemble.
Where is she, Greta? Hey guys, Henry here. We're in Parliament Square. As you can see, there's a lot going on, you know. It was dwindling, but there's a lot more people out here right now enjoying the vibes. We've got Anil here with his drum. Go on, give us a... Yeah, Anil, so you've been here, I'm guessing, all day, right?
Yeah, I've tried to get here as quick as I could. I got a bit delayed because there is burnout and there's a lot of stuff happening. And I've just had a bit of rest and recovery. I came in at 1 o'clock and it was a little bit low. Got some beats going, got some jamming going, and we got the lively spirit. Everyone's starting to converge on Parliament Square, so we're going to make some real positive energy action here.
And we've got the Animal Rebellion coming up here.
Animal Rebellion with their weather eyes looks beautiful. I can't wait to see what they come up with. We've just had trans rights, so human rights, just beforehand. Really powerful speaker, really powerful energy. And before that, we've had a few people just dotting around and spreading their love.
Spreading the love, man, yeah. I feel like we're in the 70s right now, yeah.
Spreading love and the rage, the love and the rage. That's
yeah,
really
it's like creativity, destruction, the spectrum, you know, that's what it's all about.
That's it.
So yeah, I mean, earlier today we were in Buckingham Palace.
Yes.
And we were at the disobedience thing. That was pretty wavy, everyone was dancing. Were you there for that?
I wish I could say I was. I was aiming to be there, but I got conflict of interest with trans rights. I'm an ally of the LGBT community, and I wanted to come here and bring a disobedience to the trans rights protest. But here it was beautiful. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Well, yeah, I mean, it was pretty great for about 45 minutes, I want to say, generously. And then the police just came, and the speeches were done.
Yeah, the
helicopter, of course, you know, surprise. I've been saying that a lot this week. And yeah, and it all got shut down and everyone had to leave. Similar scenes going on in Trafalgar Square as well. They wanted to play the Shark-Leeds football match. I don't actually know if that happened. And yeah, it's pretty unfortunate. And we got Greta, the Greta boat, I believe. Do you know what that is?
I believe it's the Lightship, or Lightship of Hope.
The Lightship of Hope, yeah. And that's also been surrounded by police.
Aren't they still making their way here though? I believe they were in Kennington, last I heard, and still making their way on here.
Okay, yeah, so that's really just coming in from resources. Yeah, the Greta Lightship is en route, despite, you know, oncoming tides of police. You know, they're still coming, they're still going to come and show support, and they're going to be successful. Hopefully that's a metaphor for the movement in itself and our achievements.
In waves and in tides, we will always rise.
Yes. Earlier, who were you on the phone to?
I was on the phone to 101 for the police service, the Metropolitan Service. I wanted to make a complaint because there's a friend behind us in the tree, a conscientious street that the last two left, and they haven't been given basic human rights. They've been denied food, water, and the ability to go to the bathroom.
I mean, that's because they're supposed to be, by law, allowed welfare and, like, you know, anything they need for welfare in that tree. And correct me if I'm wrong, they've only been getting water a little bit. Not even water.
Not even water. nothing has been allowed. It's been an abuse of basic human rights and an abuse of just basic decency, which is what Britain is known for. We're known for being decent a nation.
Well, at least we want to be known for that, right?
Exactly. We've got all these people here wanting us to be prove to the world that we are still decent. We want to work through the issues and the problems that are created in the world from colonialism and from just past deep trauma that needs to be healed.
Yeah, totally. And of course, neocolonialism, the latest plague that we are being subject to. Speak some truth. Yeah. Can we show that guy, this infiltrator? Can we show him on the live stream? The infiltrator. Oh no. Forget that I said that. There is no infiltrator. Let's aim the camera over here. Let's have a look at this. They've got some free Julian Assange things going on here. Julian Assange is WikiLeaks. He released a lot of very sensitive cough information to the public that he felt was needed. He felt it was needed for us to know. And as a result of that, his life has been ruined. He's been arrested, and now he faces US extradition, which is exactly what these signs are saying to go against. No US extradition.
Wasn't he actually in hiding in the Colombian embassy for many, many years until, I believe, just a few months ago, until last year? So I don't know exact details where Julian Assange is now, but obviously he was somebody for actually promoting the truth and actually getting to know the real story out there. And so I'm not sure if he's been extradited to the US now already, because that's where they wanted to send him, but I hope he's actually safe and well somewhere. It'd be interesting to get some updates. We could maybe talk to somebody as part of that later on. But I think there's actually a few different protests all converging on Parliament Square today. It's quite lively. I did hear there was another protest or procession on the way here, but that's not linked with anything with XR at all. So we'll try and give those people their space. And there's obviously the awesome Stop Brexit people here as well, who are still here promoting their side of things. So perhaps we'll have a wander around Parliament Square and show you what's going on here. There's actually a really beautiful XR flag over there. Should we go and try and have a look at that?
Sure, yeah, let's have a little wander. So yeah, we've got the animal rights, animal rebellion coming over here. Who else did you say that was? What other march?
I'm not sure the exact details, but not at all connected. Not at all connected to us. So yeah, we don't need to worry about them.
So cool.
Now here's some AR people.
These ones?
Yeah.
Should we speak?
You just chat to me.
As you can see, there's still a guy on that statue, and I believe there is someone still in the tree. Go on. So what's the update?
We're just finding out information over what Animal Rebellion's doing at the moment, so I'll perhaps just go and chat to people, see if we can find out some more information for you, and I'll come back to you in a second. There seems to be quite a few Animal Rebellion people around here. They're actually I suppose, an offshoot of XR, so they're their own independent group, but they're actually some proper hardcore rebels amongst them. So I'll just go and find a couple of people, see if we can maybe get them to do an interview on a live stream for us. So I'll be back in a second.
So yeah, there's a police helicopter like right above us. I'll see if I can get that. The watchful, ever watchful eye, the big brother. The sun is.
I'm not heavy on the but
Yeah. Okay. So we're here in Trafalgar Square. The drummers have moved on because of the bylaw that was presented. Most of the rebels have now moved on back down to Trafalgar Square. Oh, sorry, down from Trafalgar Square back down to Parliament. I'm here with Vanessa, Reverend Vanessa. I've discovered she's fine to say Vanessa. I'm just going to have a quick word with her. So yeah, so you were here for the Citizens Assembly, or
I'm here actually for the Amazon. The Amazon. There's going to be a gathering for Indigenous peoples, and I'm going to say a prayer at the end of that, because really there have been thousands of people who've died defending the Amazon, and really they're martyrs. I see them as martyrs for the earth. So we're going to just say a prayer to remember them, and to hold them in their struggle.
And what did you think of the? So I think that's supposed to be 3:30. I think they might be moving down to that's going to be now in Parliament Square.
Is it?
Yeah. That's where I'm going to go after. So you can walk down with me.
Okay, fine.
And
I'm in the wrong place.
No, that's fine. That's fine. It's you know, things change minute by minute. And I was going to ask. I know we've spoken before, but we're just talking about like one of the big events today and yesterday has been the media, and the media corp was blocked, and the whole point is like 70% of the media is controlled by 5 people, you know. And you were saying before that you were very unaware of it.
Well, I'm saying that I think when you engage in an issue like climate, ecology, justice, you become more and more aware of how much the important stories are not being told, and how the media just focuses on certain things. And so actually most of the stuff we're fed doesn't actually help us to wake up to the reality that we're in.
Yeah.
And I just think, you know, and also we were just talking about yesterday how when you're engaged in a protest action, you know, it's not even being reported on the media, so you don't even know what's happening.
So yeah, all this, like most of it has never been reported on the BBC last 5 days, which is like unbelievable.
The language that the BBC used, I think even when they talked about the, I'm just waving at my friend over there, even when they talked about the action, the arrests over the media, the press this morning outside Rupert Murdoch's factories, not the printing presses, they were just saying, they talked about it as if it was something that we refer to as the climate and ecological emergency. They're not even saying this is an emergency. So it's that level of, it's still something that's a kind of a small little questionable issue. It's just not central enough.
Okay, well let's this is why we're doing this.
I know.
It's crazy that we have to rely on.
It's crazy, and I think you sort of wake up to the fact that we are being fed. You know, the media is feeding us certain things.
Yeah.
It's a mindset.
It's an evil, is what it is. It's just corruption, just of polluting people's minds in the wrong direction. You know, if people knew the truth, I think we'd have like a different world.
I mean, as a person of faith, I'm obviously aware that the spiritual dimension is rarely included.
Yeah.
So the spiritual dimension is shut out. But also now, you know, the science is shut out. You know, that's the irony of it. Yeah. You know, we live in this modern age and the science is shut out.
Yeah. You know, so, it's like priests, scientists, academics, being
There's no voice.
No voice.
No.
So,
no voice.
So we are the voice. Do you know how Reverend Sue is doing? So Reverend Sue was arrested.
Yeah, I believe she's
77
been
years old.
I think she has been released at the moment, but she'll probably have to go back because she actually, she's totally prepared to go to prison for this. She believes this is her vocation now. She's 77, but she thinks this is now so critical that some of us have to be prepared to go to prison.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Well, keep up the good work. God bless. Thank you. So I'm just going to just wrap up now, guys. It's going to be a bit weird. It's going to spin around. So it's very bright here. Yeah, sorry. Oh yeah, no, absolutely. Sorry for that. I'm going to pass it over to. We've got something else happening. I think they're in Brixton. I'm going to hand back to Claire.
Okay. Hi everyone. Yeah, this is just a quick wrap up from on the ground here with dear old Greta, the lightship. So you can see behind me, she's really still not fully dismantled. She's full of people's belongings from all those people who've towed her all the way across the South Downs from Brighton. So they're just taking her apart and taking all the baggage out. And they are giving some of it back to rebels. I think they're coming out. I don't have any clarity on the numbers of arrests that have taken place here, unfortunately. But as you can see, Kennington Park Road behind me still firmly closed in one direction. We've got a samba band and beautiful singing rebels here. I think they're preparing now to go for a little further procession. And I guess things are going to wrap as soon as the boats have disappeared and all the people's belongings have been given back to them. So what an interesting day when you poke a media baron like Rupert Murdoch hard enough to get a response from the Home Secretary on Twitter. Then we see in these changed police tactics using laws that don't apply to us to shut down protests that have been pre-agreed. So the police seem to be going back on quite a few of their words today, breaking a few of their own rules just to get people off the streets. And if I could be quite honest, you know, when we were preparing for this rebellion, we did know that things were going to change because the tactics never stay the same, but then neither do ours. And so it'll be really interesting to see what unfolds over the next few days. And yeah, just everyone will be mourning the loss of Greta. I don't know if she'll ever come out of the pound, but let's see. Thanks very much for tuning in, people. I'm going to pass over to, I don't know who. Someone's going to take it off me and take it somewhere else. Okay, cool. Henry's in Parliament Square, so that's who I'm passing to. Thanks for joining us, guys. Love your rebels, love your local rebels. I'll see you soon.
Thank you. Back in Parliament Square, I've got a member of Animals Rebellion right now, and the energy is definitely looking up. There's a lot of action going on behind me. Look at this, there's some signs here, truth. If you want to save the planet, you have to stop eating, you know what I mean? Very straightforward stuff. Right, I'm here with a member of Animals Rebellion. I'm going to ask her what she thinks about today. So, have you heard about all the actions today getting cancelled and getting stomped on? What do you think about that?
Yeah, so we had an action plan for today, and as you can see, we're all still hanging around Parliament Square. The police are coming down really hard. I know they're coming down really hard on XR protesters as well. It's really kind of intimidating and scary, but we know that they're trying to intimidate us, so our rebels are still trying to go ahead with what they have planned for today, which is an action about how the government is spinning a web of lies about animal agriculture, about the environment, about everything that's going on. So fingers crossed we'll still be able to go ahead, but it's quite clear that they're really coming down hard on peaceful protesters, which, you know, says a lot about the state of the world right now.
Oh yeah, totally. The hypocrisy of it all. I heard recently that we aren't even really allowed to protest anymore. They've got this new bill in place because of COVID. Basically, any crowd that congregates, even if it is under peaceful protest, dance or whatever, the police have the power to just, you know, stop that in its tracks, you know. And it's great to see that you're on standby, you know, regardless, because persistence is key to successful movement, right?
And that's the thing, right? Because Animal Rebellion, part of the reason we're here, one of our messages and one of our demands is to prevent future crises, which includes future pandemics. So animal farming has been kind of highlighted and spotlighted by the UN and other researchers as the leading link for future pandemics, zoonotic pandemics. Because it's either coming out of factory farms, industrial farming, or it's coming out because we're going into nature, we're destroying nature and ecosystems, and we're coming into contact with wild animals, which is, you know, spreading zoonotic diseases. So we're actually here to prevent future pandemics, and they're coming at us and saying, you know, you can't protest because of COVID. And we're like, wow, you know, our protest might be inconvenient. The next pandemic is going to be even more inconvenient. And if we don't protest now, this is essential. We're here because it's essential. We don't really want to be here. We prefer to be keeping safe, but we need to be doing this because, you know, we know what's coming. If we don't protest, we don't stand up now. So
it's our responsibility to look after our own futures, right?
Exactly.
We can't just sit back and trust the governments to look after us.
You were just touching on there about COVID. Of course, COVID actually started from the wild animal markets in China.
The fish markets?
Yes. So, and that actually shows how exploitation of animals has actually caused this global pandemic. And I think the thing for me as well is that other pandemics we'll think of, things like avian flu and swine flu. Well, avian, that's birds, and obviously swine flu, that's the pork industry.
And SARS.
So that was linked as well. So I don't know if you have experience of that, if you can talk on those.
Yeah, definitely. So actually, The other day we were parked right out the front of the Department of Health and Social Affairs with a big pink truck which said animal farming equals pandemics and climate crisis. So what we were saying is we were showing that link and saying it's up to the government to step up and to stop this now, because, and you know, we had people coming up to us and saying, you know, well, why aren't you protesting outside the Chinese embassy and stuff like that? And what's really obvious is that it is happening here. Like, industrial farming is on the rise here. Animal farming is causing so much devastation right here, as well as all around the world. So it's up to our government to take action. We can't keep just pushing it off onto other governments. It's our government's responsibility. We're also outside Barclays yesterday, outside the bank, who invests in animal agriculture. We're asking them to stop doing that, put their money somewhere else, you know, because they have a responsibility to us as citizens, as taxpayers, as everything, to take care of ourselves and to take care of our home and this earth and this planet and the animals that we say that we love, that we're killing, and that's killing us and that's killing our planet. So yeah, it just seems so. It's if you look at the scientists, it's obvious that we need to transition to a plant-based food system. Like, the science is all saying it, and the government is just refusing to listen. They're refusing to tell the truth. So yeah, that's why we're here.
And I've been hearing a lot that if we all went vegan, you know, today, we all just did it, you know, the constructivism kind of approach, it would reduce our carbon footprints by like 50%.
Yeah.
You know, and I know that's like sort of pipe dream because, you know, there's sustenance farmers who literally are using like animals and are you know, sustenance. They need it. They have no other way, no other means of looking after themselves, which I kind of get. But, you know, in places like the UK where we have got options, basically, you know, if we were able to sort of, you know, restrict our diets to this sort of really eco-friendly vegan or even just vegetarian like lifestyle, we'd save the planet like quite a lot. Like we'd save a lot, quite a lot of carbon.
Yeah. So at Animal Rebellion, you know, we really welcome personal change. A lot of us are vegan. Some of us aren't though, and what we really stand for is system change. So we demand that the government transition farmers, or help farmers, because farmers are struggling in this as well. Animal farmers, livestock farmers, as well as plant farmers. We demand that the government support them to transition to the only way forward, which is a just, sustainable plant-based food system. So we're about systemic change. We want to see systemic change because, you know, it shouldn't be on us as individuals. Like, even with COVID, it's like the government, you know, is telling us to socially distance. They're telling us to wear masks, but they're doing nothing to prevent what's coming next. They're not taking responsibility. They're putting it all on us. You know, for years we've been told to stop using plastic, to turn our lights off, to save the planet. Really, it's in the government's hands. They're the ones who need to save the planet, and we're here to tell them that that's what we want, that's what we need. So yeah, it's all about system change, changing the system, and yeah, it's just, there's no other way forward. We don't want to be the next species to go extinct.
Yeah, and to quote John Fuller, you know, he always goes on about how, quite rightly so, that the government now is sort of taking away our chance to sort of save ourselves in the future, because as they have all the power and they have all the responsibility right now, and they aren't being accountable or aren't being held accountable for the climate sort of degradation that they're sort of, you know, complicit in, it means that when we eventually pick up the mantle because they're all dead or, you know, retired or whatever, we won't have any choice. Yeah. We're just going to have to accept the fact that, you know, the world's screwed and there is literally no way back. You know, there's no turning back at this point. If it's over 4 degrees, you know, warming or whatever, and like, you know, the southern hemisphere is completely, you know, boiling, and then anything low, any sort of cities that are, you know, lower than the water level, then they're going to flood, and there's nothing we can do.
Yeah, it's like, it's incomprehensible, but it's our future if nothing happens now. And that's the thing, right? It's like, it's so hard to imagine a world that's unlivable, but that's what we're heading towards. And you know, the government's sitting in their comfy houses, and they probably can't imagine it either, but the science is clear. And that's why we're all here, because we've listened to the science, and we're telling the government that we need them to step up, because we're stepping up. We've stepped up out of our lives. We're making sacrifices just by being here a lot of the time. Like, you know, I don't think anyone wants to be surrounded by police. I don't think the people up the trees want to be being deprived of food and water and basic sustenance. None of us really want to be here, but we're here because the government isn't making any choice. They're not making any decision that's going to protect the future. And you're absolutely right. It's leaving us in this kind of horrible situation that no one deserves.
And of course, you talk about system change. You know, the half the police, I'm telling you now, they don't want to be here. But because they need a living, because of the way money is kind of like everything now for survival, they have to be here. It's their obligation, you know, and they're sort of, you know, the pawns in this larger game, you know, of chess, this sort of economic chess game that's just, you know, gambling with people's lives and with the next generation's futures, you know, and you know, it's awful. You know what I mean?
Yes, just what sprung to mind as you were both speaking there was actually about the social contract. But we agreed to abide by the laws and to pay our taxes and be respectful and to vote in a democracy, but we know we don't really have a true democracy in this country, and because we feel a need to rebel because the government has broken their side of a social contract, and that's to actually look after us. So I think for law-abiding, peaceful-loving people like ourselves who would never normally want to be involved in anything like this, we feel a need because the government is breaking their half of the social contract, so why should we maintain ours? But, you know, we actually care about our future and the future of our children.
Yeah. So, what do you think the chances are today of this animal rebellion happening? That's slim, or?
I just got to check my phone now, we'll see. Look, it's looking like we're going to be trying our best. And that's what we're going to be doing everywhere. We're going to be trying our best to take action, to rebel, even if the police are trying to stop us. We've actually already had 2 rebels arrested for walking, for existing in a space which is not here, and kind of, you know, police thinking that they looked a bit dodgy. So, you know, they're coming down really hard, but we're trying our best, and we're going to keep trying our best because that's all we can do. That's why we're all here. So yeah, if you look around, there's so many animal rebels here just waiting, ready for something to happen. So yeah, we're all committed to this cause. So yeah, who knows? Who knows if we'll be able to go ahead, but we know that something's going to happen.
Something will happen.
Something will happen.
Or should I say something has to happen?
Yes, something has to happen, exactly.
Yeah. And to go back to that social contract thing, you know, it's the idea of social contract is you gave up your natural freedom. You gave up all liberty, you know, for you know, shared morality, you know, for an idea of right and wrong, you know, so you can have property, so that you can coexist with people. And you know, as we've been saying, the social contract is broken. It's the liberty isn't shared. It's not equal. It's unequal. And there are people who are disadvantaged. And yeah, and so that's why they dissent. You know, that's why they have to be activists. That's why they sort of, you know, do things that are, you know, like what we're doing here today, a little bit disruptive, because, you know, that's all we can do.
Well, thank you so much for talking to us here today. So I've just got a note from the producer. So we're just going to have a quick walk around Parliament Square to show a bit more of what's happening. And then we're going to hand back over to Fergal. So should we just go for a quick walk, then, Henry?
Sure.
So yeah, thank you ever so much for talking to us.
Thanks.
Thank you. So
yeah, so here we go. We're going to walk around Parliament Square a little bit. Got some great flags in the air here. Great stuff. More sirens, you know, just sort of juxtaposing this sort of union.
It's very noisy in Parliament Square today. A lot of sirens, a lot of different actions, a lot of singing. There's a lot of different PAs and things. Something happening there with a load of police just whizzing by.
We've got this guy here, this great guy in his get-up, fighting for liberty in his own unique, creative way. Very great. Should we go say hello to him?
Should we go and say hello?
Yeah, sure. Let's come around here.
Hello.
Hi mate, do you want to be part of the XR live stream?
Yes.
Cool man. So, what is this all about today? How do you express your creativity like this?
Okay. Today, just 1 second. Yeah.
Just 1 second. Wife problems.
Okay, I'm ready. Yes, today is 5th of September. 5th of September 1782. A woman called, a Quechua woman called Bartola Sisa was executed by the Spanish because she was a rebel. She put an army together. She commanded and rebelled against the Spanish conquest, the Spanish colonists. And so we're celebrating that. That's what is International Women's Day. Because it's all these years ago we celebrate that rebel, the first rebel. So we're planning to get together here, but unfortunately the police is not allowing us to get together.
Because of the new sort of legal obligation they've got with COVID.
Yeah, well, that's what they say. But then again, it's another group that are meeting. We're gonna march later to the Brazilian embassy. So we against for indigenous rights. My costume is a Muisca costume. Is how the Indians in Colombia used to dress. They wear the gold and have emeralds, and they were in equalitarian society. And that's the way they used to dress for the special occasion. So this is like the smoky.
Oh, great, that's cool. And I got to say, Brazil, you know, it's devastating what's going on there in the Amazon. You know, I read somewhere per second they're losing 3 football fields of trees. You know, like that's awful. And then the government as well. You know, they say they're centralising everything, when really the government are just siphoning off the funds, siphoning off the wealth. I think it was the oil and the timber industries. You know, it's awful. You know, and have they got any movements out there? You know, trying to do what we're doing today?
Yes. Actually, the indigenous communities are very well organized, and at the moment, as we're establishing the Amazony, the Assembly for the Amazony, we're trying to support them from here. We really need to get together because it's a serious case. There are not only the fires, but also they having the COVID. It's really devastating the population. And we, the world, have to get together because we know the corrupt governments of Brazil, Colombia, Ecuador, Bolivia, they know protect the indigenous. And it's not only the people, but it's the animals, the plants, and the knowledge. It's knowledge that we don't even know, things that we know haven't where to go, and it's getting lost. So we have to protect them.
Thanks, man. That was great. Brilliant. It's all there.
Thank you for talking with us.
That was great.
Should we just continue wandering around Parliament Square and see what we can see?
Sure, let's go over to these speeches.
Yes, let's go and see what's happening at Mandela at the moment, shall we?
As you can see, there's a lot of police circulating the tree.
Henry?
Yep. There is one climber left, I believe. The others have been taken down. They haven't been getting. Well, trees, you know, in our modern society, they are constantly being cut down for, you know, just, you know, wood, you know, for the resource, and they're a commodity that's traded, and, you know, various ancient woodlands across the world are getting destroyed, and the Amazon, for example, as we mentioned earlier, is getting getting deforested very, very rapidly, and
I believe, isn't there a link with the tree climbers and HS2?
Oh yeah, of course. So yeah, the more direct link for the trees and HS2, the more immediate link is, of course, the woodlands that are going to be cut down, you know, across the UK as a result of HS2. And yeah, so we got a couple of climbers up here, and they were, you know, a few days ago there was some, you know, in the tree prepared to get arrested, and the plan was to circle around the tree with protesters, preventing the police from getting there, and, you know, thus saving some of the climbers. But the police actually wouldn't, you know, get out of the tree, and our protesters were forced to leave, and the girl was actually, you know, taken away. And it's very unfortunate and very, very disturbing that the police can actually do that to someone who's peacefully protesting. And additionally, as we mentioned earlier, they aren't getting their basic rights. They're allowed to have, you know, supplies for well-being, such as, you know, water, food, you know, anything they need for their well-being, and they haven't been getting any supplies. And that's the ISN sign, the International Solidarity Network, which is an idea of the sort of movement of movements sort of thing. Very forward-thinking stuff.
So is somebody just talking on a megaphone from up the tree as well? It's very difficult to hear what they were saying, but obviously they've got some tech up there as well. So there's hundreds of people listening to what they're saying up there.
Should we aim it up there? Can you see it? Yeah? He's like round here. So yeah, there's a guy on a megaphone.
So the three of us in these trees at the moment have been living in a beautiful woodland called Denham.
He's saying that there's 3 people in the tree right now, and they are going to persist fighting for the cause they believe in, which is preventing HS2 from being constructed, because it is detrimental to the environment, and, you know, it's very expensive, and the money that could be used, you know, that will be used to make it could be, you know, invested in other parts of infrastructure and other parts of society for example, travel, public transport, upgrading the already existing railway lines. The railway lines aren't being used, stuff like that. The motorways could be, changed. All sorts of things, and it's just a dumb investment, really. Everyone at HS2 will tell you. HS2 is such a vanity project. It's designed to sort of increase the value of, GB, PLC. There is no real sort of value to it. All it will do is it will open up the north a little bit more, but the people who in the north will drive normally because they need cars up there, so they all have cars. They don't need to get the train, right? So they're going to drive anyway. All it's going to do is have another sort of carbon releasing infrastructure project on the British Isles, and it's just pointless. And then of course, the companies that are invested in making HS2, they're going to make so much money out of this.
So should we just check back in with the studio, or I believe Ferg might be in Trafalgar Square at the moment, so I'm not sure if we're ready to hang over to Ferg at the moment, but let's just see what we can find out for you. And while we're just listening in on that, we'll just show a quick pan around Parliament Square here to show you what else is happening here.
Yeah, Nick, we can hear you. Okay. Pan around. Okay, so we got the Faith Bridge as well, that's still there. People have been sitting there since Tuesday, I believe, in the name of climate change and their interfaith. We've got lots more people crowding around the trees right now, and as you can see here, there's different ethnicities, different backgrounds, different people, and to quote someone else I've heard recently say, they've all got one thing in common, and that is that they care about the future of our planet. Sorry, I'll go this way. So yeah, as I'm walking through the crowds of Parliament Square, people are chanting. Oops, sorry. Lots of different flags here. We've got a rainbow flag, which I'm led to believe is to show solidarity with the LGBT community. We've got the Amazonia flag here, I believe.
We've got some very big, beautiful flags here. They're rather amazing.
Yeah, I said that's the Amazonia flag, isn't it?
Oh my God, it is.
Yeah. And these symbolise people's desire to try and protect the Amazon rainforest. If you turn around now, I think that looks good. Lots of police are surrounding the statue, and lots of police are surrounding those trees. And it's not putting off any of the protesters. They're still all standing there, despite new government fear tactics with the police of dispersing crowds. Something like the ISN, something as strong as that, is going to be hard to quash. All right, thanks for that, guys. Over to Fergal.
Probably didn't have a good person doing the lead either.
So no, it was actually it was. Oh, sorry, I'm. You caught me off guard there, Director Nick. I'm with my. I've just bumped into my former dance teacher here, and we're just been talking about media and the control of media, and Rupert's very passionate about that. I'm just going to just ask him a couple of questions, and then I'm just going to wrap up. So we just speak normally. Okay. So we're talking about like the media. And your viewpoints of like what's going on.
Well, I just feel that the cause of the environment is not getting the media coverage it deserves in any way, shape, or form. It's very much a one-sided news story and news cycle that seems to silence the biggest issue in the world, that we've ever had. And it doesn't make sense. It's self-serving, but only in short-term interests. I read a particular newspaper on the left-hand side, online that very much covers things in a positive way and tries to really draw attention to this, but it feels like no one else is talking about it. We were talking about the BBC just now, and I don't understand why this isn't top of the agenda all the time. Yes, there's been things that have been really big issue in the world this year, but the planet doesn't stop breathing, and these issues don't go away at all. In fact, if anything, this year just highlights that even stopping all so much that's going on in the world, travel, industry, it's only having a small impact. You know, we need to make really, really big long-term changes. And yeah, I'm just quite disappointed and distraught at the kind of lack of coverage that it gets.
Yeah. Thank you, Rupert. Not a problem. There you go, and I'll be back sometime. There you go. So yeah, so there was Rupert just voicing his opinion and annoyance of what's actually happening with the media in this country. And also, I'm just going to pan around behind me. You can see now we've got a pretty deserted Trafalgar Square, and right behind me is where there should have been a citizens' assembly happening. Very peaceful. Everybody was sitting down. Everybody was, you know, maintaining correct distances with masks on, in small little groups, and it got broken up by the police under coronavirus laws. Some of the people we saw earlier on were getting arrested, which is pretty shocking. We also should have had the Indigenous Women's Day, which has now moved down to Parliament Square. So I think we're going to jump on a couple of channels and cover that as well. So yeah, I'm just going to wrap up. Thanks everybody for watching again. Just one reminder, you know, it's great that you're watching this, but this is for everybody. We need more people involved. We need more people take to the streets. If you can't take to the streets, there's a lot of things you can do online. Go check out our links that we should have in the description, or go to Extinction Rebellion and you'll find lots of links of how you can actually get involved with the CE bill. A reminder, the Climate and Ecological Emergency Bill, it's going to have a second reading in 6 months' time, kicking it down the line again. Only 22 MPs have supported it so far. So you can write to your local MP, you can phone them, you can petition them, you can demand that they actually take action. So that's something you can do from home. Please, 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 everybody do that. Then on top of that, if you're not doing that, go join a local group, get involved. Come down to Parliament Square. We're allowed to be there between 8 to 5 every day. So just come down and join us. There's a lot of different talks going on, and just please, you know, get involved. You know, and again, keep sharing. The mainstream media are not reporting this. It's controlled by 5 billionaires in this country and around the world, and it's not in their best interest. So this is why we need. This is why we're relying on these kind of media streaming to get news out. So we're going to sign off. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch up with you soon. Take care.
Oh. It's okay. There we go.
Oh, cool.
We're live. We're on now. I didn't want audio.
Bye from us.
So tonight Extinction Rebellion is outside this printing press which prints The Sun, The Times, The Financial Times, The Telegraph and The Daily Mail. And we're blocking it because these papers have consistently failed to report the climate and ecological emergency accurately.
Just 5 billionaires own 70% of the British media. They could bring us all together to fight the climate and ecological crisis. But instead they sell easy stories of fear, confusion and division, all the while pretending to be the voice of the ordinary British public. The facts have been clear for decades. They report on the consequences, but not the underlying causes. On that, the silence is deafening. Our demand is only that they do what they already claim to do. Tell the truth.
We've located News Corps printing presses all over the country to expose the truth and stem the spread of misinformation. I'm scared, yes. I'm taking action that will result in my arrest, and I'm afraid of the consequences facing me personally. But I'm terrified of the unfolding climate crisis, and I know that nothing will ever change unless we fight for it. The fact is, nobody else is holding these institutions to account, so we are left with no other option but to put our bodies on the line.